The Stone brothers had one rule: never fall for the same woman twice. Their father died because of that rule. Their entire family shattered because of that rule. But the day McKenna walked into their mansion, everything broke. Someone started stalking her room at night. The brothers began turning on each other, and the burned photograph left on her bed exposed the secret they prayed she'd never uncover. McKenna wasn't just their maid. She was the witness everyone thought died in the fire that ruined their lives. And tonight, the man who's been hunting her for 10 years finally steps through their door. McKenna stood outside the Stone estate with one suitcase and a lie she told herself. This was temporary. The mansion rose above Central Park like something out of a movie she couldn't afford to watch. Glass, steel, cold perfection. She gripped her bag tighter and thought about her mother's hospital bed back in Atlanta. The beeping machines, the unpaid bills stacked on the counter, the nurse who looked at her with pity every time she visited. She needed this job, even if everything about it felt wrong. Ms. Rowan met her at the service entrance. Older woman, sharp eyes, no smile. "You're late," she said. McKenna swallowed. The train was delayed. Ms. Rowan didn't care. She turned and walked inside. McKenna followed. The hallways were quiet. Too quiet. Like the house was holding its breath. Marble floors reflected her worn sneakers. Chandeliers hung overhead like frozen stars. Everything here cost more than her entire life. "You'll clean the east wing," Ms. Rowan said without looking back. "Stay out of the brothers' way. Don't ask questions. Don't wander." McKenna nodded, even though Ms. Rowan couldn't see her. They stopped at a small room at the end of a narrow hall. Plain bed, small window, a closet that didn't close all the way. "This is yours," Ms. Rowan said. "Breakfast is at 6. Work starts at 7. Don't be late again." She left before McKenna could say thank you. McKenna sat on the bed and stared at the window. The city glowed below. Millions of people. None of them knew her name. None of them cared. She unpacked slowly. 3 shirts, 2 pairs of jeans, a photo of her mother. She placed it on the nightstand and whispered a promise she wasn't sure she could keep. "I'll fix this, Mama. I swear." Ever started something knowing it might destroy you? Droppy if you've been there. Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. Warm welcome to the family. Enjoy the story. That night, McKenna couldn't sleep. The bed was too soft. The room was too quiet. Her mind wouldn't stop replaying the nurse's voice. "She doesn't have much time." She turned over and stared at the ceiling, counted cracks in the paint, listened to the hum of the city outside. Then she heard it. Footsteps, slow, heavy, deliberate. They stopped outside her door. McKenna sat up. Her heart pounded so hard she thought it might break through her chest. The footsteps didn't move. Someone was standing there, breathing, waiting. She wanted to call out, wanted to ask who it was, but her voice caught in her throat like a stone. 1 minute passed, then 2. Finally, the footsteps faded down the hall. McKenna exhaled and realized her hands were shaking. She told herself it was nothing. A guard making rounds, another worker passing by. Nothing. But when she tried to sleep again, she couldn't. Because deep down she knew whoever stood outside her door wasn't just passing by. They were watching. The next morning, McKenna asked Ms. Rowan about it over breakfast. "Does anyone walk the east wing at night?" Ms. Rowan's fork paused halfway to her mouth. She set it down slowly. "Why are you asking?" McKenna hesitated. "I heard footsteps outside my door." Ms. Rowan's face went pale. "What time?" "Around midnight." The older woman looked away. Her jaw tightened. "The brothers don't walk that floor." McKenna frowned. "Then who does?" Ms. Rowan stood and cleared her plate without answering. McKenna sat there alone, staring at her cold eggs. If the brothers didn't walk that floor, then who stood outside her door last night? And why did Ms. Rowan look terrified when she asked? 3 days later, Makina was polishing the marble hallway outside the library when the door opened behind her. She didn't turn around at first, just kept scrubbing, kept her head down like Ms. Rowan taught her. But she felt him before she saw him. A presence, heavy, quiet, like the air itself changed. She glanced up. Luca Stone stood in the doorway, tall, barefoot, white t-shirt wrinkled like he'd slept in it, dark hair falling across his forehead, eyes that looked tired in a way sleep couldn't fix. Makina froze. He stared at her, not the way men usually stared, not with interest or curiosity, with something else, something that made her stomach twist, recognition, like he knew her, like he'd been waiting for her. "Sorry, sir," Makina said quickly. "I didn't know anyone was inside." Luca didn't respond. He just kept looking at her. His jaw tightened, his hands flexed at his sides. Finally, he spoke. "What's your name?" His voice was soft, almost careful, like her answer mattered more than it should. "Makina." He repeated it slowly. "Makina." The way he said it made her chest tighten, like the name unlocked something painful inside him. He tilted his head slightly. "You're new." "Yes, sir." He stepped closer, not threatening, just drawn, like he couldn't help it. "Where are you from?" Makina hesitated. "Atlanta." Something flickered across his face. Surprise. Pain. She couldn't tell. He opened his mouth like he wanted to ask something else, then closed it. His eyes scanned her face like he was searching for something he lost a long time ago. Makina shifted uncomfortably. "Is there something you need, sir?" Luca blinked, shook his head slightly. "No," he whispered, but he didn't move. Neither did she. The silence stretched between them, thick, strange, uncomfortable. Finally, Luca turned and walked down the hall, slowly, like he didn't want to leave but had to. Makina exhaled and realized she'd been holding her breath. She looked down at her hands. They were shaking. What just happened? She tried to go back to work, tried to focus, but her mind kept replaying the way Luca looked at her, like she was a ghost, like she was someone he thought he'd never see again. That afternoon, Makina was folding laundry in the staff room when Ms. Rowan appeared in the doorway. "You met him," she said quietly. Makina looked up. "Who?" "Luca." Makina nodded slowly. "He asked my name." Ms. Rowan's face tightened. "What else did he say?" "He asked where I'm from." Ms. Rowan cursed under her breath. She walked over and closed the door behind her. "Listen to me carefully," she said. "If Luca starts asking questions, don't answer them. If he stares too long, walk away. If he tries to talk to you alone, come find me." Makina frowned. "Why? What's wrong with him?" Ms. Rowan hesitated. Her eyes softened with something that looked like pity. "There's nothing wrong with him," she said quietly. "That's the problem." Makina didn't understand. Ms. Rowan sighed. "Luca feels everything too deeply. He holds on to things, people, memories, and when he loses them..." She trailed off. "What?" Makina pressed. Ms. Rowan looked away. "He doesn't let go." Makina's chest tightened. "Why are you telling me this?" Ms. Rowan met her eyes. "Because the way he looked at you today? I've only seen him look at one other person like that." Makina swallowed. "Who?" Ms. Rowan didn't answer. She just turned and left. Makina stood there alone, staring at the closed door. Her hands were shaking again. That night, Makina couldn't stop thinking about Luca. The way he said her name, the way he looked at her, like she reminded him of someone. But who? She lay in bed staring at the ceiling, listening to the city hum outside her window. Then she heard them again. Footsteps. Her heart dropped. They stopped outside her door, just like before. Makina sat up slowly, her pulse hammered in her ears. This time, she wasn't going to stay silent. "Who's there?" she called out. The footsteps didn't move. "I know you're out there," she said louder. Still nothing. Makina climbed out of bed and walked to the door. Her hand hovered over the handle. She took a deep breath and pulled it open. The hallway was empty. Completely empty. Makina stepped out and looked both ways. No one. Nothing. But then she saw it. A piece of paper on the floor, right in front of her door. She picked it up with trembling hands. It was a photograph. Old. Faded. Burned on the edges. 2 boys being pulled from a burning car, and a girl standing behind them. A girl with burns on her arms. A girl who looked exactly like her. Makina's breath caught in her throat. She flipped the photo over. On the back, written in shaky handwriting, "You saved us once. Now, we need to save you." Makina stared at the photo until her eyes burned. 2 boys, a burning car, a girl who looked exactly like her. She tried to remember, tried to pull the memory from the fog in her mind. Atlanta. 10 years ago. Rain. Screaming metal. Fire. She saved someone that night, but she never saw their faces. Her hands wouldn't stop shaking. She shoved the photo under her pillow and climbed back into bed. But sleep didn't come. Just questions. Endless questions. Who left this for her? Why now? And why did those boys look so familiar? The next morning, Makina was carrying folded sheets down the grand staircase when she heard footsteps behind her. Fast. Confident. "You must be Makina." She turned. A man stood at the top of the stairs. Tall. Blonde hair slightly messy. Black suit fitted perfectly. Smile that looked too dangerous for this early in the morning. Archer Stone. Makina nearly dropped the sheets. "Yes, sir." He walked down the stairs slowly, eyes locked on her the entire time. "Don't call me sir," he said with a grin. "Makes me feel like I'm in trouble." Makina tried not to smile. Tried. Failed. Archer stopped 2 steps above her, close enough for her to feel the heat coming off him. "So," he said, tilting his head. "Has my brother scared you yet?" Makina blinked. "No, he's been quiet." Archer laughed softly. "Quiet is worse. Trust me." He stepped down until they were on the same level. His eyes studied her face like he was memorizing every detail. "Luca feels everything too deeply," Archer said. "Always has." Makina's throat tightened. "Why are you telling me this?" Archer's smile faded slightly. "Because you need to know what you're walking into." "I'm just a maid," Makina said. Archer leaned closer. His voice dropped. "No, you're not." Makina's heart skipped. Before she could respond, Archer stepped past her, brushed close enough for her to smell his cologne, expensive, sharp, but he paused halfway down the hall, turned back. "If Luca stares too hard, tell me. I'll handle it." Makina frowned. Why would he stare at me? Archer didn't answer. He just smiled, but it wasn't warm anymore. It was sad. Then he said something that made her blood run cold. "You really have no idea, do you?" Makina swallowed. "No idea about what?" Archer's smile disappeared completely. "Why you're not supposed to be here." He walked away before she could ask what he meant. Makina stood there alone on the staircase, heart pounding, sheets clutched against her chest. What did he mean she wasn't supposed to be here? Later that afternoon, Makina was wiping down the kitchen counters when 2 guards walked past. They didn't see her. "They're fighting again," one whispered. Makina froze. "Who?" the other guard asked. "The brothers, about the new girl." Makina's stomach dropped. The first guard shook his head. "They never fight anymore. Not since the accident." "Yeah, well, Luca saw Archer talking to her this morning. Lost it." Makina stepped back and bumped a stool. The guards stopped talking. Then one of them said quietly, "If this continues, she won't last here." They walked away. Makina stood there, hands gripping the counter. The brothers were fighting. About her. But why? She didn't do anything. She barely spoke to them, so why did her presence make everything worse? Cindy. That evening, Makina went to find Ms. Rowan. She found her in the laundry room folding towels. Ms. Rowan, Makina said, I need to ask you something. The older woman looked up. What? Makina pulled the photo from her pocket. Someone left this outside my door last night. Ms. Rowan's face went pale. She snatched the photo from Makina's hands and stared at it. Her lips trembled. Where did you get this? She whispered. I told you. Someone left it for me. Ms. Rowan looked at her with wide, frightened eyes. Who knows you have this? No one. Just you. Ms. Rowan glanced around like someone might be listening. Then she grabbed Makina's wrist and pulled her into the corner. Listen to me carefully, she hissed. You cannot let the brothers see this photo. Do you understand? Makina's heart pounded. Why? Who are those boys? Ms. Rowan's voice cracked. You know who they are? Makina shook her head. I don't remember their faces. I just remember the fire. Ms. Rowan closed her eyes. Then maybe it's better you don't. Why? Makina demanded. Ms. Rowan opened her eyes. Tears pooled in them. Because if you remember everything that happened that night, you'll run. And they'll never let you go. Makina stepped back. What does that mean? Before Ms. Rowan could answer, the lights flickered. Then the fire alarm screeched through the entire mansion. Makina covered her ears. Ms. Rowan cursed and grabbed her arm. Stay here. But Makina didn't listen. She ran toward the east wing, toward the brothers' offices. She turned the corner and froze. Luca and Archer stood in the middle of the hallway, breathing hard, fists clenched, one with a split lip, the other with blood on his knuckles. They weren't just arguing. They'd been fighting. Archer pointed at Luca. If she sees that photo, everything falls apart. Luca's voice was cold. She already saw it. Both men slowly turned toward her, and the truth sat between them like a bomb waiting to explode. Makina stood frozen in the hallway, clutching the photo in her hand. Luca and Archer stared at her like she'd just walked into a room she was never supposed to see. Blood dripped from Archer's knuckles onto the marble floor. Luca's lip was split open, red staining his teeth. The fire alarm still screamed overhead. Turn it off, Luca said quietly. Archer didn't move. Turn it off, Luca shouted. Archer reached over and slammed his fist against the wall panel. The alarm died instantly. Silence crashed down like a weight. Makina's hands shook. What's going on? Neither brother answered. Luca wiped blood from his mouth. His eyes never left hers. Archer stepped forward. Makina, go back to your room. No, she whispered. Not until you tell me what this means. She held up the photo. Luca's jaw clenched so hard she heard his teeth grind. Archer cursed under his breath and turned away. Tell me. Makina's voice cracked. Who left this for me? Why do you care if I saw it? Luca finally spoke. His voice was rough, broken. Because we didn't want you to remember. Makina's chest tightened. Remember what? Before either of them could answer, Ms. Rowan appeared at the end of the hall. Makina, she said sharply, come with me. Now. Makina didn't move. Ms. Rowan walked over and grabbed her arm. I said now. She dragged Makina away before she could protest. Makina looked back. Luca and Archer stood in the hallway watching her leave. Both of them looked like they'd just lost something they could never get back. Ms. Rowan pulled Makina into the laundry room and locked the door behind them. Sit, she ordered. Makina sat. Ms. Rowan paced back and forth, hands shaking. You shouldn't have gone down there, she muttered. You shouldn't have seen them like that. What's happening? Makina asked. Why are they fighting? Ms. Rowan stopped pacing. She looked at Makina with tired, sad eyes. Because of you. Makina flinched. I didn't do anything. You didn't have to, Ms. Rowan said. You just exist. And that's enough. Makina shook her head. I don't understand. Ms. Rowan sat down across from her. She took a deep breath. Years ago, a woman came between the brothers, she said quietly. She was beautiful, charming, dangerous. They both fell for her. Hard. Makina's stomach twisted. Ms. Rowan continued. It almost destroyed them. They fought, said terrible things, nearly killed each other, and in the end the woman left, disappeared, never came back. Makina whispered, What happened to her? Ms. Rowan's face darkened. No one knows. But after she was gone, the brothers made a promise. They swore they would never let another woman get close. To either of them. Makina felt something heavy settle in her chest. Ms. Rowan leaned forward. You're the first woman in 2 years who made both of them react. Makina's breath caught. React how? Luca stares at you like he's seen a ghost. Archer watches you like he's afraid you'll vanish. And they're fighting again. Just like before. Makina stood up. Then I'll leave. I'll quit. I'll go back to Atlanta. Ms. Rowan grabbed her wrist. You can't. Why not? Ms. Rowan's voice dropped to a whisper. Because they won't let you. Makina pulled her hand away. They can't stop me. Ms. Rowan looked at her with something that looked like pity. You really don't know who the Stone brothers are, do you? Makina frowned. They're rich. That's all I know. Ms. Rowan shook her head slowly. They're not just rich, Makina. They're dangerous. Powerful. Connected to people you don't want to know about. Makina's blood ran cold. Ms. Rowan stood. If you try to leave now, they'll find you. And when they do, they'll bring you back. Makina backed against the wall. Why? I'm nobody. Ms. Rowan's eyes filled with tears. Because you're not nobody to them. Makina felt her knees weaken. What would you do if your presence tore people apart? Comment below. That night, Makina locked herself in her room. She sat on the bed with the photo in her lap. 2 boys, a burning car, a girl who looked like her. She closed her eyes and tried to remember. Rain, screaming, shattered glass. A car flipped on its side, flames crawling up the metal. 2 voices crying for help. She ran toward the fire, pulled the door open, dragged the first boy out, then the second. Burns blistered her arms. Smoke filled her lungs, but she didn't stop until they were safe. Makina opened her eyes. She remembered now. She saved them, but she never saw their faces, never asked their names, just ran before the ambulance came, because her mother was in the other car, bleeding, unconscious, and Makina thought saving those boys was the last good thing she'd ever do. A knock on the door jolted her back to the present. Makina stood slowly. Who is it? No answer. Another knock. She walked to the door and pressed her ear against it. Heavy breathing on the other side. Go away, she said. The breathing stopped. Then a voice, low, rough. We need to talk. Luca. Makina's heart hammered. Not now. Open the door, Makina. No. Silence. Then Luca's voice again, softer this time, almost broken. Please. Makina closed her eyes. She shouldn't open the door. She knew that. But her hand moved anyway. She unlocked it, pulled it open. Luca stood there, still bleeding, eyes red like he'd been crying. And behind him, Archer leaned against the wall, both of them staring at her, both of them looking like they were about to tell her something that would change everything. Luca whispered, We owe you the truth. Makina slammed the door in their faces. Her heart pounded so hard she thought it might explode. Makina, please, Luca said from the other side. Go away, she shouted. Archer's voice came next, calm, controlled. We're not leaving until you hear us out. Makina pressed her back against the door. Her hand shook. She didn't want to hear it. didn't want to know what they were hiding, because once she knew, everything would change, and she couldn't afford change. She needed this job, needed the money, needed to save her mother, but her chest ached with a truth she couldn't ignore anymore. These men knew her, recognized her, remembered her, and she saved them once. Makina slid down to the floor and buried her face in her hands. "Just tell me through the door," she whispered. Silence. Then Luca's voice. Soft, broken. "The car accident. 10 years ago. That was us." Makina's breath caught. Archer continued. "You pulled us out of the fire, saved our lives. We never forgot." Tears burned her eyes. Luca spoke again. "We searched for you for years, but you disappeared. No name, no trace, just gone." Makina wiped her face. "My mother moved, us the next day. She didn't want me involved in whatever happened." "She was protecting you," Archer said. Makina stood slowly. "From what?" Neither of them answered. She yanked the door open. "From what?" Luca and Archer stood there, eyes filled with guilt. "From us," Luca whispered. Makina stepped back. "What does that mean?" Archer ran a hand through his hair. "The accident wasn't random. Someone tried to kill us that night." Makina's stomach dropped. Luca continued. "And your car got caught in the crossfire. Your mother was hurt. You were hurt. Because of us." Makina shook her head. "No, that's not possible." Archer stepped closer. "We didn't know you were there. We didn't know you'd get involved. But you did. And you saved us anyway." Makina's knees weakened. She grabbed the doorframe. "Why didn't you tell me when I got here?" she asked. Luca looked away. "Because we didn't want you to remember. Didn't want you involved in our world again." Makina laughed bitterly. "But you hired me anyway." Archer nodded. "We couldn't help it. When we saw your name on the application, we had to see you again." Makina's chest tightened. "So this whole time, you've been lying to me." "We were trying to protect you," Luca said. Makina's voice rose. "By keeping me in the dark? By letting me walk around this mansion like an idiot while you two fought over me?" Archer flinched. Luca stepped forward. "We're sorry." Makina wiped her tears. "I don't want your apology. I want the truth. All of it." Luca and Archer exchanged a look, a long one, a painful one. Finally, Archer spoke. "There's more." Makina's heart sank. What else could there possibly be? Luca pulled something from his pocket, another photo. He handed it to her. Makina took it with trembling hands. It was the same image, the burning car, the two boys, the girl, but this one was clearer, and in the background, barely visible through the smoke, was another car, flipped on its side, flames crawling toward it. Makina's car, her mother's car. Makina's hands shook violently. "Where did you get this?" Archer's voice was barely a whisper. "From the police report, the one that was buried." Makina looked up. "Buried? Why?" Luca's jaw clenched. "Because our father paid them to make it disappear." Makina felt the world tilt. "Your father covered it up?" she whispered. Archer nodded. He didn't want anyone asking questions, didn't want anyone connecting the dots. Makina backed away from them. "Connecting what dots?" Luca closed his eyes. "That the people who tried to kill us that night were still out there, and they'd come after anyone who helped us." Makina's blood ran cold. Archer stepped closer. "That's why your mother moved you. That's why she lied about the accident. She knew if anyone found out you saved us, they'd come for you too." Makina shook her head. "This can't be real." Luca grabbed her shoulders gently. "Makina, listen to me. You're in danger. You've always been in danger. And now that you're here, they know where you are." Makina pulled away. Who? Who knows?" Before either of them could answer, glass shattered downstairs. All three of them froze. Shouting echoed through the mansion. Gunshots. Makina screamed. Archer grabbed her arm. "Get down!" Luca ran to the window and looked out. His face went white. "They're here." McKenna's heart stopped. "Who's here?" Luca turned to her, eyes filled with fear. "The people who tried to kill us 10 years ago." More gunshots. Footsteps pounded up the stairs. Archer pulled McKenna behind him. "Stay close." The door burst open. A woman stepped inside. Tall, elegant, cold smile. Vivian. She looked at McKenna and tilted her head. Well, well, the little hero finally came home. Vivian stood in the doorway like she owned the room. McKenna's breath froze in her chest. Archer moved in front of her instantly. "Get out, Vivian." Vivian smiled. "Is that any way to greet an old friend?" Luca's voice was ice. "You're not welcome here." Vivian's eyes shifted to McKenna. "But she is?" McKenna stepped back. Her pulse hammered in her ears. Vivian walked into the room slowly, heels clicking against the floor. Guards stood behind her in the hallway, weapons visible. "Put the guns down," Archer growled. Vivian raised a hand. The guards lowered their weapons but didn't leave. She circled McKenna like a predator studying prey. "So, this is the girl who saved you. The one you've been searching for all these years." McKenna's voice shook. "Who are you?" Vivian smiled. "Someone who knows more about you than you know about yourself." Luca stepped between them. "Vivian, I'm warning you." Vivian ignored him. Her eyes stayed locked on McKenna. "Do you remember that night?" she asked softly. "The rain? The fire? The screaming?" McKenna's hands trembled. "Yes." Vivian tilted her head. "Do you remember whose car hit yours?" McKenna froze. She never thought about that, never questioned it. Her mother said it was an accident, a drunk driver, bad luck. But now, standing here, looking into Vivian's cold eyes, McKenna realized something. Her mother lied. Vivian saw the realization on her face and smiled wider. There it is. The moment the truth clicks. Archer grabbed Vivian's arm. "That's enough." Vivian yanked free. "Is it? Because I think she deserves to know who really caused that accident." McKenna's voice cracked. "Who?" Vivian leaned in close. "My father." McKenna staggered back. Luca caught her before she fell. Vivian continued. "My father wanted the Stone brothers dead. He cut their brake lines, followed their car, forced them off the road." McKenna's chest tightened. "Why?" Vivian's smile faded. "Because their father destroyed mine." Archer cursed. "That's not true." Vivian spun on him. "Isn't it? Your father built his empire on the backs of people like mine, crushed us, ruined us, left us with nothing." Luca's voice was hard. "Your father was a criminal." Vivian laughed bitterly. "And what are you?" Silence. McKenna looked between them. "What is she talking about?" No one answered. Vivian turned back to McKenna. "You think the Stone brothers are good men? You think they're innocent?" McKenna's throat tightened. Vivian stepped closer. "They're just as dirty as my father. Just as dangerous. The only difference is they have better lawyers." Archer's fists clenched. "Get out. Now." Vivian held up her hands. "I'm leaving. But before I go, I want to give you something, McKenna." She pulled a folder from inside her coat and handed it to her. McKenna took it with shaking hands. "What is this?" Vivian smiled sadly. "The police report. The real one. The one their father paid to bury." McKenna opened the folder. Inside were photos, documents, witness statements, and right there, on the first page, was a statement from the responding officer. It said the accident involved 2 vehicles. One belonged to the Stone family. The other belonged to a woman named Keisha Williams, McKenna's mother. But there was more. The officer noted that a third vehicle was spotted fleeing the scene. Black SUV, no plates, last seen heading south. McKenna's hands shook. "Someone else was there?" Vivian nodded. "Someone who made sure your mother's car got hit." someone who wanted to send a message to the Stones. McKenna looked up at Luca and Archer. "Did you know about this?" Luca's face was pale. "We didn't know about the third car." Archer looked like he'd been punched. "Our father never told us." Vivian turned to leave. "Of course he didn't. Because if you knew the truth, you'd know your father didn't just cover up the accident. He caused it." McKenna's stomach dropped. "What?" Vivian paused at the door. "The third car? The one fleeing the scene?" She looked back. "It belonged to your father, Luca." The room went silent. Luca's face drained of all color. Archer shook his head. "No, that's not possible." Vivian's voice was quiet, almost pitying. "Check the report yourself. Page 7. Vehicle registered to Richard Stone." She walked out. The guards followed. The door closed behind them. McKenna stood there, clutching the folder, tears streaming down her face. Luca grabbed the folder from her hands and flipped through it frantically. His hand stopped on page 7. His face crumbled. Archer looked over his shoulder. Then he cursed and punched the wall so hard the plaster cracked. McKenna's voice was barely a whisper. "Your father caused the accident that almost killed my mother?" Luca couldn't look at her. Archer covered his face with his hands. McKenna backed toward the door. "You knew. You both knew." Luca finally looked up. His eyes were red. "We didn't. I swear, McKenna, we didn't know." McKenna shook her head. "I don't believe you." Archer stepped forward. "McKenna, please." She opened the door and ran down the hallway, down the stairs, through the mansion. She didn't stop until she reached her room. She slammed the door and locked it. Then she collapsed on the floor and sobbed. Everything was a lie. The accident, the job, the brothers. Her entire life had been built on someone else's crimes, and now she was trapped in the middle of it. A soft knock came at the door. McKenna didn't answer. The knock came again. Then a voice. "Ms. Rowan." "McKenna, let me in." McKenna wiped her face and opened the door. Ms. Rowan stepped inside and closed it behind her. She looked at McKenna with sad, knowing eyes. "You found out." McKenna nodded. Ms. Rowan sighed. "I'm sorry, child. I tried to warn you." McKenna's voice broke. "Why didn't you just tell me?" Ms. Rowan sat on the bed. "Because some truths are too heavy to carry alone." McKenna sat beside her. "What do I do now?" Ms. Rowan looked at her for a long moment. Then she said something that made McKenna's blood run cold. "You run. Before it's too late." McKenna didn't run. She wanted to. God, she wanted to. But where would she go? Back to Atlanta? To her mother who lied to her for 10 years? To a city that felt like a graveyard of secrets? She sat on her bed, staring at the folder Ms. Rowan left behind. The police report, the photos, the truth, her mother's car, the Stone brothers' car, and the third vehicle that started it all. Richard Stone's SUV, their father. A knock broke the silence. McKenna didn't answer. The knock came again, harder this time. "McKenna, it's us," Archer's voice called through the door. "Please, we need to talk." "Go away," McKenna said. Luca's voice followed, softer, broken. "We're not leaving." McKenna stood and yanked the door open. "What more could you possibly say?" Archer looked like he hadn't slept. His eyes were red, his shirt wrinkled. Luca looked worse, hollow, empty. "We didn't know," Archer said. "You have to believe us." McKenna laughed bitterly. "Why should I believe anything you say?" Luca stepped forward. "Because we're telling the truth now. Our father hid it from us. We found out the same time you did." McKenna crossed her arms. "That doesn't change what he did. What your family did to mine." Archer's jaw tightened. "Our father was a lot of things. Most of them terrible. But we're not him." McKenna's voice rose. "You hired me knowing who I was. You brought me into this house, into your lives without telling me the truth. Luca flinched. We were trying to protect you. From what? McKenna shouted. From knowing that your family destroyed mine? Silence. Archer ran a hand through his hair. From knowing you were never supposed to survive that night. McKenna froze. The air left the room. What? She whispered. Luca closed his eyes. The accident wasn't random, and it wasn't just about us. Archer continued. Our father had enemies, dangerous people, and when they found out someone saved us that night, they wanted you dead too. McKenna backed against the wall. Why? Luca's voice cracked. Because you were a witness. Because you saw too much. Because you saved the wrong people. McKenna felt her knees weaken. So your father covered it, up to protect me? Archer shook his head. No. He covered it up to protect himself, to hide what he'd done. You were just collateral damage. McKenna slid down the wall and sat on the floor. Her entire life, everything she believed, all of it was built on a lie designed to protect a dead man's reputation. Luca knelt beside her. We didn't bring you here to hurt you. We brought you here because we owed you, because we needed to keep you safe. McKenna looked up at him. Safe from who? Before he could answer, Vivian's voice echoed from the hallway. From me. McKenna's heart stopped. Vivian stepped into the room, flanked by 2 guards. Archer stood immediately. How did you get back in here? Vivian smiled. Your security is embarrassing. Luca moved in front of McKenna. Leave. Now. Vivian ignored him, her eyes locked on McKenna. Did they tell you the whole truth? She asked. Or just the parts that make them look good? McKenna stood slowly. What are you talking about? Vivian stepped closer. Did they tell you that their father didn't just cause the accident? He planned it. Archer's fists clenched. That's a lie. Vivian pulled out her phone and showed McKenna a photo. It was a text message. Old. Time-stamped the night of the accident. From Richard Stone to an unknown number. Make it look random. No survivors. McKenna's stomach twisted. Vivian swiped to another message. Except the boys. I need them alive. McKenna's breath caught. Vivian's voice was quiet, almost sad. Your mother was never supposed to make it out of that crash. Neither were you. McKenna felt tears burn her eyes. Why? Vivian looked at the brothers. Because their father needed a distraction, a tragedy, something to cover up what he was really doing that night. Archer shook his head. You're lying. Vivian showed him the phone. Am I? Luca grabbed it and stared at the screen. His face went white. Archer looked over his shoulder, then he cursed and threw the phone across the room. McKenna's voice was barely a whisper. What was he doing? Vivian's smile faded. Moving money. Illegal money. From accounts that didn't belong to him. And your mother saw the paperwork. McKenna's heart stopped. What? Vivian nodded. Your mother worked at the bank where Richard Stone kept his accounts. She processed a transaction that night. A big one. And she asked too many questions. McKenna shook her head. No. My mother was a teller. She was an accountant, Vivian interrupted, and she was smart enough to realize what she was looking at. McKenna felt the world tilt. Vivian continued. So Richard Stone did what he always did. He eliminated the problem. McKenna's voice broke. He tried to kill my mother? Vivian nodded. And you were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Tears streamed down McKenna's face. Luca reached for her, but she pulled away. Don't touch me, she whispered. Archer stepped forward. McKenna, we didn't know. We swear we didn't. No. McKenna looked at them both. But you do now. And you still brought me here. Still put me in danger. Luca's voice cracked. We thought we could protect you. McKenna laughed through her tears. Protect me. You put a target on my back the moment I walked through those gates. Vivian folded her arms. She's right. And now that she's here, everyone knows where to find her. McKenna turned to her. Why are you telling me this? Vivian's eyes softened. Because I'm not the monster they think I am. And because you deserve to know who really put you in danger. She looked at the brothers. Them. Some people hide the truth to protect you. Others hide it to use you. Which one hurts more? Share if you felt this. McKenna backed toward the door. I'm leaving. Archer grabbed her arm. You can't. It's not safe. McKenna yanked free. I don't care. Luca blocked the door. McKenna, please, just listen. Move, McKenna said. Luca didn't move. McKenna's voice rose. Move. Before he could respond, the lights cut out. The entire mansion went dark. Vivian cursed. Gunshots echoed from downstairs, screaming, shattering glass. Archer grabbed McKenna's hand. Stay with me. Emergency lights flickered on, bathing everything in red. Footsteps pounded up the stairs. Vivian pulled a gun from her coat. They're here. McKenna's voice shook. Who's here? Vivian looked at her with cold, certain eyes. The people who want to finish what Richard Stone started. The gunshot stopped. Silence fell over the mansion like a blanket soaked in gasoline. McKenna pressed herself against the wall, heart hammering so hard she thought her ribs might crack. Vivian stood at the door, gun raised, eyes scanning the hallway. Archer pulled McKenna behind him. How many? Vivian didn't look back. At least 6. Maybe more. Luca cursed. Who sent them? Vivian's jaw tightened. Who do you think? More footsteps echoed below, slow, deliberate, like whoever was down there wasn't in a hurry, like they knew no one was escaping. McKenna's voice shook. What do they want? Vivian finally turned, her eyes locked on McKenna. You. McKenna's breath caught. Me? Why? Vivian lowered her gun slightly. Because you're the only person alive who can connect the dots, the only witness who survived that night. McKenna shook her head. I don't remember anything. I was just a kid. Vivian stepped closer. That doesn't matter. What matters is what your mother knew, what she saw, what she could testify to if anyone ever asked the right questions. McKenna's chest tightened. My mother doesn't remember either. The crash hurt her. She has memory problems. Vivian's face softened, almost pitying. That's what they told you, isn't it? McKenna frowned. What? Vivian glanced at the brothers. Did you tell her the truth? Or are you still lying? Archer's voice was ice. Don't. Vivian ignored him. She looked back at McKenna. Your mother doesn't have memory problems. She's been pretending. Hiding. Protecting you. McKenna felt her knees weaken. That's not true. Vivian pulled out her phone again and showed McKenna another document. Medical records. McKenna's mother's medical records. Dated 3 months ago. Cognitive function. Normal. Memory. Intact. Diagnosis. None. McKenna's hands trembled as she read. No, she whispered. This can't be real. Vivian's voice was quiet. Your mother lied to you. For 10 years. To keep you safe. McKenna's vision blurred with tears. Safe from who? Vivian looked at the brothers again. From the same people who killed their father. Archer's eyes widened. What? Vivian's smile was bitter. You didn't know. Richard Stone didn't die of a heart attack. He was murdered. Luca stepped forward. That's impossible. We saw the autopsy report. Vivian laughed coldly. You saw what someone wanted you to see. Just like McKenna's mother's medical records. Just like the police report from the crash. McKenna felt the room spin. Everything was a lie. Every document. Every truth she thought she knew. All of it manipulated, controlled, designed to keep everyone in the dark. Archer's voice was low, dangerous. If our father was murdered, who did it? Vivian's smile faded. The same people who tried to kill you that night. The same people who are downstairs right now. A door slammed below. Footsteps started up the stairs. Vivian raised her gun again. We need to move. Now. Archer grabbed Makina's hand. Come on. But Makina didn't move. She looked at Vivian. Why are you helping us? Vivian paused. Her eyes softened. Because my father didn't deserve what happened to him, and neither did yours. Makina's voice broke. What happened to my father? Vivian's face darkened. He found out what Richard Stone was doing, the money laundering, the illegal accounts, and he tried to stop it. Makina shook her head. My father was a mechanic. He didn't— Your father was an FBI informant, Vivian interrupted. And Richard Stone found out. Makina's world shattered. Vivian continued. That's why the crash happened. That's why your mother moved you. That's why she's been pretending to forget. Makina's voice was barely a whisper. Where's my father now? Vivian looked away. I don't know. He disappeared the night of the crash. No one's seen him since. Tears streamed down Makina's face. Her father wasn't a mechanic. He was a ghost. The footsteps reached the top of the stairs. Vivian grabbed Makina's arm. We're out of time. She pulled her toward the back hallway. Archer and Luca followed. They ran through the mansion, footsteps echoing behind them. Vivian led them to a hidden door behind a bookshelf. She pushed it open, revealing a narrow staircase. Go, she ordered. Archer went first, then Luca, then Makina. Vivian stayed behind. Makina looked back. Aren't you coming? Vivian smiled sadly. Someone has to slow them down. Before Makina could protest, Vivian slammed the door shut. Gunshots erupted on the other side. Makina screamed. Luca grabbed her and pulled her down the stairs. They ran through darkness, through cold stone corridors, through air that smelled like mold and fear. Finally, they burst through another door and stumbled into a garage. 3 black cars sat waiting. Archer ran to the first one and yanked the door open. Get in. Makina climbed into the back seat. Luca got in beside her. Archer started the engine. They peeled out of the garage and into the night. Makina looked back at the mansion. Flames flickered in the upper windows. Smoke poured into the sky. And somewhere inside, Vivian was fighting for her life. Or already dead. Makina turned forward, tears streaming down her face. Archer drove in silence. Luca stared out the window. No one spoke. Finally, Makina whispered, Where are we going? Archer's voice was hard. Somewhere safe. Makina laughed bitterly. There's nowhere safe. Luca looked at her. His eyes were filled with pain. We'll find one, I promise. Makina shook her head. You can't promise that. You don't even know who's after us. Archer's jaw clenched. Yes, we do. Makina frowned. Who? Luca's voice was barely a whisper. Our uncle. Makina's blood ran cold. You have an uncle? Archer nodded. Our father's brother, Elias Stone. Makina's heart pounded. Why would he want to kill you? Luca closed his eyes. Because we're the only ones who know the truth about what our father did. Makina's voice shook. What truth? Archer looked at her in the rearview mirror. His eyes were filled with something that looked like guilt. Our father didn't just launder money, he stole it. From Elias, from the family business, millions of dollars. Makina felt sick. And now your uncle wants it back. Luca nodded. And he'll kill anyone who stands in his way. Makina leaned back against the seat. Her mother, her father, the crash, the lies. All of it connected to the Stone family. All of it leading back to one man. Elias Stone. Archer's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and his face went white. What? Luca asked. Archer showed him the screen. A text message from an unknown number. I have your girl's mother. Come to Miami, alone, or she dies. McKenna's heart stopped. McKenna grabbed the phone from Archer's hand. Her mother's face stared back at her from the screen, tied to a chair, tape over her mouth, eyes wide with terror. McKenna's entire body went numb. No, she whispered. No, no, no. Luca leaned over and read the message. His face went pale. Archer slammed his fist against the steering wheel. Elias. McKenna's hands shook so violently she almost dropped the phone. We have to go. We have to get her. Archer kept driving. It's a trap. McKenna's voice rose. I don't care. That's my mother. Luca grabbed her shoulders. McKenna, listen to me. If we go to Miami, Elias will kill all of us. McKenna shoved him away. Then what do we do? Leave her there to die? Archer's jaw clenched. We need a plan, McKenna screamed. There's no time for a plan. He has my mother. Another text came through. McKenna looked at the screen. A video this time. She pressed play with trembling fingers. The camera focused on her mother. A man's voice spoke off screen. Cold. Calm. Hello, McKenna. I assume my nephews are with you. McKenna's breath caught. The voice continued. Your mother is comfortable, for now, but that can change very quickly. The camera shifted to show a gun pressed against her mother's temple. McKenna gasped. You have 24 hours, the voice said. Come to Miami. Alone. Or your mother dies. And McKenna? If you bring the brothers, I'll kill her anyway. The video ended. McKenna's vision blurred with tears. Luca pulled her into his arms. We'll figure this out. McKenna sobbed into his chest. How? He said I have to come alone. Archer pulled the car over and turned around. You're not going anywhere near Miami. McKenna wiped her face. You can't stop me. Archer's voice was hard. Yes, I can. McKenna glared at him. That's my mother. I'm going. Luca sighed. McKenna, if you go, you're dead. That's what Elias wants. McKenna shook her head. He wants the money your father stole, not me. Archer's eyes darkened. He wants both. McKenna frowned. Why me? Luca looked away. Because you're leverage. Against us. McKenna's stomach twisted. What does that mean? Archer's voice was quiet. It means Elias knows we care about you. And he'll use that to control us. McKenna felt her chest tighten. You barely know me. Luca looked at her with eyes full of pain. We've known you longer than you think. Before McKenna could respond, Archer's phone rang. He answered. What? A woman's voice. Faint. Pained. Vivian. They're coming for you, she whispered. Archer put it on speaker. Vivian, are you okay? Vivian coughed. I'm alive. Barely. Luca leaned forward. Who's coming? Vivian's voice was strained. Elias sent a team. They know where you are. Archer cursed. How? Vivian laughed weakly. GPS tracker, in the car. Archer slammed the brakes. The car screeched to a stop. He jumped out and opened the hood. Luca followed. McKenna stayed in the back seat, clutching the phone, listening to Vivian breathe. Vivian, McKenna whispered. Are you hurt? Vivian coughed again. Shot, twice. But I'll live. McKenna's voice broke. Why did you help us? Vivian was quiet for a moment. Because I know what it's like to lose everything, and I didn't want you to go through that. Tears streamed down McKenna's face. Thank you. Vivian's voice softened. Don't thank me yet. This isn't over. Archer climbed back into the car, holding a small black device. He crushed it under his boot. Got it, he said. Vivian's voice came through the speaker. Good. Now get off the road. They're 10 minutes behind you. Archer started the car. Where do we go? Vivian hesitated. There's a safe house, upstate. I'll text you the address. Luca frowned. How do we know it's safe? Vivian's voice was sharp. You don't. But it's better than dying on the side of the highway. The line went dead. Archer's phone buzzed with an address. He punched it into the GPS and floored the gas pedal. They drove in silence. McKenna stared out the window, mind racing. Her mother, her father, the brothers, Elias. Everything was connected. Everything was falling apart. Finally, she spoke. "I need to know the truth." Luca looked at her. "About what?" McKenna's voice was steady. "About why your father really tried to kill my mother." Archer's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Luca looked away. McKenna pressed. "Tell me. Now." Archer exhaled slowly. "Your mother wasn't just an accountant. She was investigating our father." McKenna's heart stopped. "What?" Luca continued. "The FBI recruited her, asked her to look into the accounts, find proof of what he was doing." McKenna felt sick. "My mother was working with the FBI?" Archer nodded. "And when our father found out, he tried to eliminate her." McKenna's voice shook. "And my father?" Luca's voice was barely a whisper. "He was the agent running the investigation." McKenna's world collapsed. Her father wasn't just an informant. He was FBI, and her mother was helping him. That's why they were targeted. That's why the crash happened. That's why they disappeared. McKenna buried her face in her hands. "Why didn't anyone tell me?" Archer's voice was soft. "Because the fewer people who knew, the safer you were." McKenna looked up. "But I'm not safe. I've never been safe." Luca reached for her hand. "We'll keep you safe now." McKenna pulled away. "You can't promise that." Before anyone could respond, headlights appeared behind them. Close. Too close. Archer cursed. "They found us." Luca looked back. "How?" Archer's jaw clenched. "There must be another tracker." The headlights got brighter. A black SUV pulled alongside them. The window rolled down. A man pointed a gun at them. Archer swerved. The shot missed. Barely. McKenna screamed. Archer floored the gas pedal. The car lurched forward. The SUV kept pace. Another shot. The back window shattered. Glass rained down on McKenna. Luca pulled her down. "Stay low." Archer turned sharply onto a side road. The SUV followed. They raced through darkness. Trees blurred past. The road twisted and turned. Archer drove like a man possessed, but the SUV stayed close. Another shot. This one hit the tire. The car spun out of control. McKenna felt herself thrown against the door. Everything tilted. The car flipped. Once. Twice. Then stopped. Upside down. Silence. McKenna's ears rang. Blood dripped from her forehead. She tried to move, but her seatbelt held her in place. "Archer?" she whispered. No answer. "Luca?" Nothing. Footsteps approached the car. Slow. Deliberate. The door was yanked open. A man's face appeared. Cold eyes. Hard smile. "Hello, McKenna," he said. She recognized the voice from the video. Elias Stone. He reached in and cut her seatbelt. McKenna fell. Elias caught her and pulled her out of the car. She struggled. "Let me go." Elias held her tighter. "I don't think so." McKenna looked back at the car. Archer was unconscious. Blood on his face. Luca wasn't moving. "No," McKenna whispered. Elias smiled. "Don't worry. They'll live. For now." He dragged her toward the SUV. McKenna fought, kicked, screamed, but Elias was too strong. He shoved her into the back seat and climbed in beside her. The driver pulled away. McKenna looked out the back window. The wrecked car disappeared into the darkness. Elias leaned back and smiled. "Welcome to the family, McKenna." McKenna woke to the smell of salt water and expensive leather. Her head throbbed. Her wrists ached. She tried to move but realized her hands were zip-tied together. Panic shot through her chest. She opened her eyes. She was in a penthouse, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Miami's coastline. White marble, modern furniture, cold perfection. Elias sat across from her, sipping coffee like this was a normal morning. "Good," he said. "You're awake." McKenna's voice was hoarse. Where are they? Where are Luca and Archer? Elias smiled. Alive. For now. McKenna struggled against the zip ties. Let me go. Elias set down his coffee. I will. Eventually. But first we need to have a conversation. McKenna glared at him. I have nothing to say to you. Elias leaned back. That's unfortunate, because I have a lot to say to you. Before McKenna could respond, the penthouse door opened. A man walked in. Tall, familiar, cocky smile. McKenna's stomach dropped. Zane, her ex-fiancé. Hello, McKenna, Zane said. McKenna's voice shook. What are you doing here? Zane walked over and sat beside Elias. Working. McKenna's mind raced. Working? For him? Zane nodded. For the past 6 months. McKenna felt sick. You knew everything. Zane shrugged. I knew enough. McKenna's voice rose. You lied to me. You used me. Zane's smile faded. I protected you. McKenna laughed bitterly. By working for the man who kidnapped my mother? Zane's jaw tightened. Your mother is fine. She's safe. McKenna's eyes filled with tears. Where is she? Elias interrupted. In the next room, unharmed, for now. McKenna turned to him. Let me see her. Elias shook his head. Not yet. McKenna's voice broke. Please. Elias studied her for a long moment. Then he nodded to Zane. Zane stood and opened a door across the room. McKenna's mother was sitting on a couch, hands free. No tape. No restraints. She looked up when she saw McKenna, but she didn't look scared. She looked guilty. McKenna's chest tightened. Mama? Her mother stood slowly. McKenna, I'm so sorry. McKenna shook her head. For what? Her mother's eyes filled with tears. For everything. Elias stood. Your mother and I have been working together for quite some time. McKenna felt the world tilt. What? Her mother stepped closer. I had no choice, baby. They threatened you. Said they'd kill you if I didn't cooperate. McKenna backed away. Cooperate with what? Elias answered. With bringing you here. To me. McKenna's voice shook. Why? Elias walked to the window. Because you're the only person who can give me what I want. McKenna frowned. I don't have anything. Elias turned. Your father does. McKenna's heart stopped. My father is dead. Elias smiled. No, he's not. McKenna felt her knees weaken. Her mother whispered, He's alive, McKenna. He's been alive this whole time. Tears streamed down McKenna's face. Where is he? Elias pulled out his phone and showed her a photo. A man standing on a beach. Older. Grayer. But unmistakable. Her father. McKenna's breath caught. Elias put the phone away. Your father stole something from me, and I want it back. McKenna's voice was barely a whisper. What did he steal? Elias's eyes darkened. Evidence. Proof of what Richard Stone did. Proof that could destroy my entire empire. McKenna shook her head. I don't know where it is. Elias stepped closer. But your father does, and he'll give it to me, if I have you. McKenna backed against the wall. He won't. He doesn't even know where I am. Elias smiled. Oh, he knows. I made sure of it. McKenna's stomach twisted. Zane stood. McKenna, just cooperate. Make this easy. McKenna glared at him. Easy? You betrayed me. Zane's voice was calm. I saved you. You were walking into a war you didn't understand. McKenna's voice rose. By lying to me? By working for the man who tried to kill my mother? Zane stepped closer. I did what I had to do. McKenna's voice broke. You used the person I love most to control me. Imagine someone using the person you love most to control you. Tag someone who survived this. Zane flinched. I never wanted to hurt you. McKenna wiped her tears. But you did. Before Zane could respond, the penthouse door burst open. Guards rushed in, shouting. Elias cursed. What now? One of the guards gasped. They're here. The brothers. They're downstairs. Elias's face went white. How? The guard shook his head. I don't know, but they brought an army. Gunshots echoed from below. McKenna's heart leapt. Elias grabbed her arm. You're coming with me. McKenna struggled. No. Her mother stepped forward. Let her go, Elias. Elias turned on her. You don't give me orders. McKenna's mother's voice was steady. I said let her go. Elias pulled a gun and pointed it at her. Or what? McKenna screamed. Don't! The elevator dinged. The doors opened. Archer stepped out. Blood on his face. Gun in his hand. Luca followed. Eyes wild. Dangerous. Behind them, a dozen armed men. Elias tightened his grip on McKenna and pressed the gun to her temple. One more step and she dies, he said. Archer froze. Luca raised his hands. Let her go, Elias. Elias laughed. Why would I do that? Archer's voice was cold. Because if you hurt her, I'll kill you. Elias's smile faded. You won't risk her life. Luca stepped forward. Try us. The room went silent. McKenna felt the gun press harder against her head. Her mother cried quietly. Zane stood frozen. Archer and Luca stared at Elias with murder in their eyes. Then, from the hallway, another voice. Soft, familiar, broken. Put the gun down, Elias. Everyone turned. A man stepped into the room. Older, grayer, but unmistakable. McKenna's father. Alive. McKenna's voice broke. Dad? Her father looked at her with tears in his eyes. I'm here, baby. I'm here. Elias's hand trembled. You came. McKenna's father nodded. I came. Now let my daughter go. Elias hesitated. Then he whispered, You brought it? McKenna's father pulled a flash drive from his pocket. Everything you want, every file, every secret. Elias's eyes gleamed. Give it to me. McKenna's father held it up. Only if you let her go. Elias looked between McKenna and the flash drive. Then he smiled. Deal. He lowered the gun. McKenna ran to her father. He caught her in his arms and held her tight. I'm sorry, he whispered. I'm so sorry. McKenna sobbed into his chest. Elias grabbed the flash drive from McKenna's father. He looked at it, smiled. Then he looked at McKenna's father and shot him. McKenna screamed. Her father collapsed into her arms, blood spreading across his chest. No, McKenna cried. No, no, no. Archer's gun was up instantly, aimed at Elias. Luca rushed forward. Elias stepped back, holding the flash drive, gun still smoking. Don't move, he warned. McKenna pressed her hands against her father's wound. Blood poured through her fingers. Dad, stay with me, she sobbed. Please stay with me. Her father's eyes fluttered. McKenna. Don't talk. Save your strength. Her father grabbed her hand weakly. Listen. The drive. It's not. He coughed. Blood appeared on his lips. Don't leave me, McKenna whispered. Her father smiled faintly. I never really did. His hand went limp. His eyes closed. McKenna felt something inside her shatter. No, she screamed. Wake up! Dad! Archer moved forward. McKenna! Elias fired a warning shot at the ceiling. Stay back! Luca froze. McKenna looked up at Elias through tears. You killed him. Elias shrugged. He knew too much. McKenna's grief twisted into rage. I'll kill you. Elias laughed. You won't get the chance. He snapped his fingers. More guards appeared from the hallway. McKenna's mother rushed to her side and pulled her away from her father's body. We have to go, she whispered. McKenna shook her head. I'm not leaving him. Her mother's voice broke. He's gone, baby. He's gone. McKenna sobbed into her mother's shoulder. Archer kept his gun trained on Elias. This ends now. Elias smiled. Does it? Because from where I'm standing, I have everything I need. He held up the flash drive. Luca's jaw clenched. That drive is useless without the password. Elias's smile faded. What? Luca stepped closer. You really think he'd give you the real files? He encrypted them, and only one person knows the password. Elias's eyes narrowed. Who? Luca looked at McKenna. Elias followed his gaze, then he laughed. Of course. The daughter. McKenna looked up, confused. I don't know any password. Her mother whispered, Yes, you do. McKenna turned. What? Her mother's eyes filled with tears. Your father told you. The night before the crash. You were just too young to remember. McKenna's mind raced. She tried to think back. 10 years. That night. Rain outside. Her father sitting on her bed, tucking her in. He'd said something. Something she thought was just a bedtime story. Remember the stars, McKenna. Always remember the stars. McKenna's breath caught. The stars. Her mother nodded. He knew something might happen to him, so he hid the password in a memory only you would have. Elias stepped forward. What's the password? McKenna looked at her father's body, then at Elias. I'll never tell you. Elias's face darkened. Yes, you will. He pointed his gun at McKenna's mother. McKenna's heart stopped. Tell me, Elias said, or she dies too. McKenna's mother straightened. Don't tell him, McKenna. Elias cocked the gun. Last chance. McKenna's voice shook. Please, don't. Elias's finger tightened on the trigger. Archer fired. The bullet hit Elias's shoulder. Elias stumbled back, dropping the gun and the flash drive. Luca dove for the drive. Chaos erupted. Guards opened fire. Archer pulled McKenna and her mother behind a marble pillar. Bullets shattered glass, ripped through furniture. McKenna covered her ears and screamed. Luca grabbed the flash drive and ran toward them. We need to move, he shouted. Archer nodded. The stairwell. Go. They ran. Bullets chased them down the hallway. McKenna's legs felt like jelly, but her mother pulled her forward. They burst through the stairwell door and started down. Footsteps pounded behind them. They're coming, Luca yelled. Archer turned and fired up the stairs, buying them time. They reached the ground floor and burst into the lobby. More guards, Luca cursed. We're surrounded. Archer looked around frantically. The garage. This way. They ran toward the parking garage entrance. A guard stepped out to block them. McKenna's mother grabbed a fire extinguisher from the wall and swung it at his head. He dropped. McKenna stared at her mother in shock. Her mother shrugged. I wasn't always a banker. They reached the garage and found a black SUV. Luca shot the window and unlocked it from the inside. They piled in. Archer started the engine just as guards poured into the garage. He floored the gas pedal. The SUV roared out of the garage and into the Miami streets. Bullets pinged off the back. McKenna ducked. Her mother held her close. Luca looked back. Are they following? Archer checked the rearview mirror. Not yet. McKenna's chest heaved. She couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Her father was dead, shot right in front of her, and she couldn't save him. Luca turned to her. McKenna, I'm so sorry. McKenna didn't respond. She just stared at her bloody hands. Her mother wiped them gently with her sleeve. It's okay, baby. It's okay. But it wasn't okay. Nothing was okay. Archer drove in silence for 10 minutes. Finally, he pulled into an abandoned warehouse district and parked. He turned off the engine. Everyone sat in silence. Then McKenna's mother spoke. There's something you need to know. McKenna looked up. What? Her mother's voice was steady. Your father didn't just hide the password in your memory. He hid something else too. McKenna frowned. What do you mean? Her mother reached into her pocket and pulled out a small key. He gave this to me. The night of the crash. Told me to keep it safe. To give it to you when the time was right. McKenna took the key with trembling hands. What does it open? Her mother's eyes filled with tears. A safe deposit box in Atlanta. with everything your father couldn't put on that drive. Luca leaned forward. What's in it? Her mother looked at him. Proof. Real proof. Of what Richard Stone did. What Elias is doing. Everything. Archer's jaw clenched. Why didn't you tell us before? Her mother's voice was quiet. Because I didn't know who to trust. McKenna looked at the key. Where's the box? Her mother whispered. First National Bank, downtown Atlanta, under my maiden name. McKenna nodded slowly. Then Zane's voice came from outside the SUV. I wouldn't go there if I were you. Everyone froze. McKenna turned. Zane stood 10 feet away, gun in his hand. Behind him, a dozen armed men. Archer cursed. How did you find us? Zane smiled. You're not the only one with trackers. He walked closer. Now. Everyone out of the car. Slowly. Luca's hand moved toward his gun. Zane cocked his weapon. Don't. They climbed out slowly. Zane looked at McKenna. I tried to warn you. Tried to keep you safe. But you wouldn't listen. McKenna's voice was cold. You're working for Elias. Zane shook his head. I'm working for someone much worse. McKenna frowned. Who? Zane smiled. Then a car pulled up behind him. The door opened. A woman stepped out. Tall. Elegant. Cold. Vivian. But she wasn't injured. Wasn't bleeding. She looked perfectly fine. McKenna's stomach dropped. You're alive. Vivian smiled. I was never hurt, darling. That was just a performance. McKenna felt the ground shift beneath her. You've been working with Elias this whole time, Vivian laughed. Not with him. Against him and against you. She walked closer. You see, Elias wants the files to protect himself, but I want them for something much bigger. Archer's voice was ice. What? Vivian's smile widened. To destroy everyone. The Stones. Elias. Your father's legacy. All of it. She looked at McKenna. And you, my dear, are going to help me do it. McKenna's world shattered. Vivian wasn't their ally. She never was. You lied to us, Archer said through clenched teeth. Vivian smiled. I did what I had to do. Luca's fists tightened. You made us think you were helping. Vivian shrugged. And you believed me. That's your mistake. McKenna's voice shook. Why? Why betray us? Vivian's smile faded. Because the Stone family destroyed mine, and I want them to feel what I felt. Loss, pain, nothing. She stepped closer to McKenna. And you're the key to it all. Before McKenna could respond, headlights appeared at the end of the street. Multiple vehicles, moving fast. Vivian cursed. He found us. Zane frowned. Who? Vivian's face went pale. Elias. The vehicles screeched to a stop. Doors flew open. Armed men poured out. And in the center, holding his wounded shoulder, stood Elias Stone. Blood soaked through his shirt, but his eyes burned with rage. Vivian, he called out. I should have known you'd betray me too. Vivian raised her gun. Stay back, Elias. Elias laughed. You think you can stop me? You think any of you can? He nodded to his men. They raised their weapons. Vivian's men did the same. McKenna stood frozen between two armies. Her mother grabbed her hand. Get down! Gunfire erupted. McKenna dropped to the ground, covering her head. Bullets tore through the air, shattered windows, ripped metal. Archer pulled McKenna behind the SUV. Stay low. Luca fired back at Elias's men. Vivian and her crew returned fire. The warehouse district turned into a war zone. McKenna's ears rang. Her body shook. Her mother held her close. It's okay, baby. It's okay. But it wasn't okay. Nothing about this was okay. A grenade rolled across the pavement. Archer saw it. Move! He grabbed McKenna and her mother and pulled them away. The explosion threw them forward. McKenna hit the ground hard. Pain shot through her ribs. Dust and smoke filled the air. She coughed, tried to breathe, couldn't. Someone grabbed her arm. She looked up. Luca, can you stand? He shouted over the chaos. McKenna nodded weakly. He pulled her to her feet. Her mother was already up, dirt and blood on her face. Archer appeared through the smoke. "We need to move. Now." They ran. Bullets chased them through the warehouse lot. Vivian's voice echoed behind them. "Don't let them escape." More gunfire. They ducked behind a rusted shipping container. McKenna gasped for air. "Where do we go?" Archer looked around frantically. "There, the docks." In the distance, beyond the warehouses, McKenna saw water. Boats. Luca nodded. "Let's move." They ran again. McKenna's legs burned, her lungs screamed, but she didn't stop. Behind them, the gunfire continued. Explosions shook the ground. They reached the docks and found a small motorboat tied to a post. Archer jumped in and started the engine. "Get in," he yelled. McKenna's mother climbed in first, then McKenna. Luca untied the rope and jumped in just as bullets hit the dock. Archer floored the throttle. The boat shot forward across the dark water. McKenna looked back. Flames rose from the warehouse district. Smoke billowed into the sky. Vivian stood on the dock watching them escape. She didn't chase. She just smiled, like she'd already won. McKenna turned forward, heart pounding. "Where are we going?" she asked. Archer's voice was grim. "Somewhere safe." Luca looked at him. "There's nowhere safe anymore." Archer didn't respond. They rowed in silence across the water. Finally, they reached a small marina on the outskirts of Miami. Archer docked the boat and they climbed out. McKenna's legs nearly gave out. Her mother caught her. "Easy." Luca led them to a parking lot where a single car sat waiting. "How did you know this would be here?" McKenna asked. Luca pulled keys from his pocket. "I didn't. I hoped." They got in and drove. No one spoke. McKenna stared out the window, replaying everything in her mind. Her father, dead. Vivian, a traitor. Elias, still hunting them. Zane, working for Vivian. Everyone she thought she could trust had lied. Everyone except the brothers. McKenna looked at Luca and Archer. Bloodied, exhausted, but still fighting. For her. "Why?" she whispered. Luca glanced back. "Why what?" "Why are you still here? You could have left me, saved yourselves." Archer's jaw tightened. "We don't leave people behind." Luca added softly, "Especially not you." McKenna felt tears sting her eyes. Her mother reached over and squeezed her hand. Archer drove for another hour before pulling into a hidden driveway. A small cabin sat at the end, surrounded by trees, isolated. "What is this place?" McKenna's mother asked. Luca got out. "Somewhere no one knows about. Not even Vivian." They went inside. The cabin was small. Dusty, but safe. Archer locked the door behind them and collapsed on the couch. Luca checked his phone. No signal. We're off the grid. McKenna's mother sat down and buried her face in her hands. "What do we do now?" Luca looked at McKenna. "We need to get to that safe deposit box. In Atlanta." McKenna's hand went to her pocket. The key was still there. She pulled it out and stared at it. Her father died protecting this. Whatever was in that box was worth his life. "We'll go," McKenna said quietly. "But first I need to know something." Archer looked up. "What?" McKenna met his eyes. "Why did Vivian really betray you? What did your family do to hers?" Archer's face darkened. Luca looked away. Silence. Finally, Archer spoke. "Our father didn't just steal money from Elias. He stole from Vivian's father too. Destroyed their business. Left them with nothing." McKenna's chest tightened. "And?" Archer's voice was barely a whisper. "And when her father tried to fight back, our father had him killed." McKenna felt sick. "Killed?" Luca nodded. "Vivian was 16 when it happened. She watched him die. McKenna's hands shook. So this whole time she's been planning revenge. Archer nodded. Against us. Against Elias. Against everyone connected to what happened. McKenna stood and walked to the window. The forest was dark, silent, but she felt the weight of everything pressing down on her. Her father. Dead. The brothers. Hunted. Vivian. Out for blood. And somewhere in Atlanta, a box that held the truth. McKenna turned back. "We leave at dawn," she said. Archer nodded. "Agreed," Luca stood. "I'll keep watch tonight. You all rest." McKenna's mother went to one of the bedrooms. McKenna stayed in the living room with Archer. He looked at her. "You okay?" McKenna shook her head. "No, but I will be." Archer stood and walked over to her. "We'll get through this." McKenna looked up at him. "Promise?" Archer's eyes softened. "I promise." He reached out and gently touched her face. McKenna's breath caught. Before either of them could say anything, Luca's voice came from the door. "We have a problem." They both turned. Luca held up his phone. "Signal just came back, and I got a message." Archer frowned. "From who?" Luca's face was pale. "Vivian." He showed them the screen. A video. McKenna pressed play. Vivian's face appeared, smiling. "Hello, McKenna. I hope you're comfortable, because tomorrow you're going to make a choice." The camera panned to a man tied to a chair, beaten, bloodied, but alive. McKenna's heart stopped. It was her father. Vivian's voice continued. "Turns out he wasn't quite dead after all. Funny how that works." McKenna's hands shook violently. Vivian leaned into the frame. "Come to Atlanta. Bring the key, or I kill him. For real this time." The video ended. McKenna staggered back. Archer caught her. "It's a trap," Luca said. McKenna's voice broke. "I don't care. He's alive. My father is alive." Archer's jaw clenched. "McKenna." "I'm going," McKenna said firmly. "With or without you." Luca and Archer exchanged a look. Finally, Archer nodded. "Then, we go together." McKenna couldn't sleep. She sat on the cabin floor, staring at her phone, replaying the video over and over. Her father's face, beaten, bloody, alive. She thought she watched him die. But he was alive. How? Her mother appeared in the doorway. "You should rest." McKenna didn't look up. "I can't." Her mother sat beside her. "I know." Silence. Then McKenna whispered, "Did you know?" Her mother hesitated. "Know what?" "That he was still alive." Her mother's voice cracked. "No, I thought he was gone, just like you." McKenna finally looked at her. "How is this possible? I saw him get shot. I held him." Her mother closed her eyes. "I don't know, baby. I don't know." McKenna stood and walked to the window. Dawn was breaking. Soft light filtered through the trees. Archer and Luca were outside, checking the perimeter. She watched them move. Efficient, silent, deadly. These men had saved her life more times than she could count, and she still didn't fully trust them. Her mother stood. "They care about you, you know." McKenna turned. "How do you know?" Her mother smiled sadly. "Because I see the way they look at you. The same way your father used to look at me." McKenna's chest tightened. "I barely know them." Her mother walked over and took her hands. "Sometimes knowing someone isn't about time. It's about what you've been through together." McKenna's eyes filled with tears. "I'm scared, Mama." Her mother pulled her close. "I know, but you're stronger than you think." They held each other as the sun rose. An hour later, they were on the road to Atlanta. Archer drove. Luca sat in the passenger seat, gun on his lap. McKenna and her mother sat in the back. No one spoke. The weight of what they were walking into hung heavy in the air. Finally, Luca broke the silence. "We need a plan." Archer nodded. "Vivian will have men everywhere. The bank, the streets, maybe even inside." McKenna leaned forward. So what do we do? Luca turned. We split up. Create a distraction. McKenna shook her head. No. We stay together. Archer glanced at her in the rearview mirror. That's too risky. McKenna's voice was firm. I don't care. I'm not losing anyone else. Luca and Archer exchanged a look. Finally, Archer sighed. Fine. We stay together. They drove in silence until Atlanta's skyline appeared on the horizon. McKenna's heart pounded. This was where it all started. The crash. The fire. The lies. And now, it was where it would end. They parked 2 blocks from the bank and walked the rest of the way. The streets were crowded. People rushed past, unaware of the war happening around them. McKenna kept her head down, hand tight around the key in her pocket. They reached the bank and paused outside. Ready? Archer asked. McKenna nodded. They walked inside. The lobby was quiet. A few customers. Tellers behind glass. McKenna approached the front desk. I need to access a safe deposit box. The woman smiled. Name? McKenna's mother stepped forward. Keisha Williams. Maiden name. The woman typed into her computer. ID, please. McKenna's mother handed over her license. The woman studied it, then nodded. Follow me. She led them to a back room lined with metal boxes. Number? She asked. McKenna's mother looked at the key. 317. The woman found the box and inserted her key. You'll need your key as well. McKenna stepped forward and inserted hers. The box clicked open. The woman left them alone. McKenna stared at the box. Her hands trembled. Archer put a hand on her shoulder. It's okay. Take your time. McKenna took a deep breath. Then she opened it. Inside were documents, photos, flash drives, and a letter. Addressed to her, in her father's handwriting. McKenna picked it up with shaking hands. Read it, her mother whispered. McKenna unfolded the letter. McKenna, if you're reading this, then I'm either dead or captured. Either way, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for lying. For leaving. For putting you in danger. But everything I did was to protect you. The crash that night wasn't random. It wasn't even about the Stone brothers. It was about you. Someone wanted you dead. And I still don't know why. The files in this box will explain everything, but be careful. Trust no one, not even the people who claim to love you. Your father. McKenna's vision blurred with tears. What if everything you believed about your family was a lie? Drop a if this hit different. Her mother read over her shoulder and gasped. The crash was about you? McKenna's voice shook. I don't understand. Why would anyone want to kill me? I was just a kid. Luca picked up one of the files and opened it. His face went pale. McKenna, you need to see this. He handed her the file. Inside was a birth certificate. Her birth certificate. But the name wasn't McKenna Williams. It was McKenna Stone. McKenna's hands went numb. She looked at her mother. What is this? Her mother's face crumbled. I wanted to tell you. I tried so many times. McKenna's voice rose. Tell me what? Her mother's tears fell freely. Your father. The man you knew as your father. He wasn't your biological father. McKenna felt the ground disappear beneath her. What? Her mother sobbed. Your real father was Richard Stone. The room spun. Archer stepped back, eyes wide. Luca stared at McKenna like he'd seen a ghost. McKenna shook her head. No, that's not possible. Her mother grabbed her hands. It's true. I worked for Richard. We had an affair. I got pregnant. He wanted me to get rid of you, but I couldn't. So I ran, changed my name, married the man you knew as your father. McKenna pulled away. You're lying. Her mother's voice broke. I wish I was. McKenna looked at Archer and Luca. They stared back at her, realization dawning on their faces. You're our sister, Luca whispered. McKenna's chest tightened. No. Archer's voice was hollow. That's why our father tried to kill you. You were proof of his affair, proof that could destroy him. McKenna backed against the wall. This can't be real. But deep down, she knew it was. The crash, the cover-up, the lies, all of it made sense now. She wasn't just a witness. She was the secret. Her mother reached for her. "McKenna, please." The bank's alarm suddenly blared. Gunshots echoed from the lobby, screaming. Archer pulled his gun. "They're here." Luca grabbed McKenna's arm. "We need to move." They ran toward the back exit. The door burst open. Vivian stepped through, flanked by armed men. She smiled when she saw McKenna. "Hello, sister." McKenna froze. Vivian's smile widened. "Oh, you didn't know." Richard Stone had 3 children, the 2 golden boys, and me, the bastard daughter he threw away. McKenna's world shattered completely. Vivian raised her gun. "Now give me the files, or I kill everyone you love." McKenna stared at Vivian like she was looking at a nightmare made flesh. "Sister?" McKenna whispered. Vivian's smile was cold. "Surprised? You shouldn't be." Richard Stone had a habit of leaving bastards everywhere he went. Archer's gun was already raised. "Put the weapon down, Vivian." Vivian didn't flinch. "Or what? You'll shoot your own sister?" Luca's jaw clenched. "You're not our sister." Vivian laughed. "Oh, but I am. Same father, different mothers, though mine had the decency to stay silent about it." McKenna's mother stepped forward. "Vivian, please. This isn't the way." Vivian's eyes darkened. "Don't talk to me about the way. You got to raise your daughter. Mine died giving birth to me because Richard refused to pay for proper medical care." McKenna felt sick. "I didn't know." Vivian's voice was ice. "Of course you didn't. Because Richard made sure no one knew about me. Paid my foster families to keep quiet. Threatened anyone who asked questions." She stepped closer, gun still raised. "But I found out. When I turned 18. Found the records. The payments. The lies." Archer's finger tightened on the trigger. "This doesn't have to end badly." Vivian's laugh was hollow. It already ended badly, 20 years ago, when Richard Stone threw me away like garbage. McKenna's voice shook. "I'm sorry for what he did to you. But I'm not him." Vivian's eyes met hers. "No, you're worse." McKenna flinched. "What?" Vivian's smile twisted. "You got everything I never had. A mother who loved you. A father who protected you. The Stone brothers ready to die for you." She gestured at Archer and Luca. "Do you know what I got? Foster homes. Abuse. Nothing." McKenna's chest tightened. "That wasn't my fault." Vivian's gun hand trembled. "But you're still going to pay for it." Before anyone could move, the back door burst open. Elias Stone walked in, shoulder bandaged, face twisted with pain and rage. Behind him, more armed men. "Vivian," he said calmly. "Lower your weapon." Vivian didn't move. "Stay out of this, Elias." Elias stepped closer. "This isn't about revenge anymore. This is about survival." Vivian's eyes narrowed. "What are you talking about?" Elias pulled out his phone and showed her the screen. Vivian's face went pale. "What is that?" McKenna asked. Elias looked at her. "Federal warrants, for all of us, based on the files your father leaked." McKenna's stomach dropped. "What files?" Elias pocketed his phone. "The ones proving Richard Stone wasn't just a businessman. He was a criminal. Money laundering, racketeering, murder." Archer's voice was hard. "We already knew that." Elias shook his head. "No, you knew pieces. But the full truth? The FBI has everything now. Because of him." He pointed at McKenna. Her father. The man she thought was a mechanic. He was the one who brought it all down. McKenna's voice was barely audible. "What are you saying?" Elias's eyes were cold. "Your father wasn't FBI. He was a criminal. Just like Richard. They worked together for years." McKenna shook her head. "No." Elias continued. "But when the heat got too close, Your father made a deal. Turned state's witness. Gave up everything. Richard. Me. Everyone. McKenna's mother gasped. That's a lie. Elias looked at her. Is it? Then explain why he's still alive. Why the FBI has been protecting him all these years. McKenna felt tears burn her eyes. He told me he was trying to protect us. Elias's voice was bitter. He was protecting himself. And you were the message he sent to Richard. McKenna frowned. What message? Elias stepped closer. That if Richard came after him, the world would find out about you. About his affair. About his illegitimate daughter. McKenna felt her knees weaken. So the crash, she whispered. Elias nodded. Was Richard trying to eliminate the evidence? You. Before the FBI could use you against him. McKenna's entire world collapsed. Her father wasn't a hero. He was a criminal. And she wasn't saved that night. She was leverage. Vivian lowered her gun slowly. So everything was a lie. Elias looked at her. Everything. McKenna's mother grabbed her arm. McKenna, whatever he did, he still loved you. McKenna pulled away. Don't. Just don't. Archer stepped forward. We need to leave. Now. Elias's men blocked the exits. No one's leaving, Elias said. Not until I get what I came for. Luca raised his gun. And what's that? Elias smiled. The leverage your father left behind. The only thing that can keep us all out of prison. McKenna's voice was hollow. The files. Elias nodded. Give them to me, and I'll let you walk away. McKenna looked at the safe deposit box, the files, the photos, the flash drives, everything her father died to protect. Or did he? Maybe he died because he deserved it. Maybe they all did. Archer whispered, McKenna, don't. But McKenna was tired. Tired of running. Tired of lying. Tired of being a pawn in someone else's game. She walked to the box and grabbed the files. McKenna, Luca shouted. She ignored him. She walked toward Elias and held them out. Take them, she said. Elias reached for them. But Vivian moved faster. She snatched the files from McKenna's hands and pointed her gun at Elias. No, she said. These are mine. Elias's face darkened. Vivian's voice was sharp. You want to make a deal? Fine. But I'm the one making it. Not you. She looked at McKenna. And you're coming with me. Before anyone could react, Vivian grabbed McKenna and pressed the gun to her head. McKenna gasped. Archer and Luca both raised their weapons. Let her go, Archer shouted. Vivian backed toward the door. Follow me, and she dies. McKenna's mother cried out. Please, don't hurt her. Vivian's eyes were cold. She's the only bargaining chip I have left. She dragged McKenna toward the exit. Elias's men moved to block them. Vivian fired a warning shot. They scattered. Vivian pulled McKenna through the door and into a waiting car. McKenna struggled. Let me go. Vivian shoved her into the back seat and climbed in beside her. The driver floored the gas. They sped away from the bank. McKenna looked back. Archer and Luca ran out of the building, shouting, but they were too late. Vivian pressed the gun harder against McKenna's ribs. Relax, she said. I'm not going to kill you. McKenna's voice shook. Then what are you going to do? Vivian smiled. I'm going to trade you for the one person who can end this. McKenna frowned. Who? Vivian's smile widened. Your father, the real one, the man who's been hiding in witness protection for 10 years. McKenna's heart stopped. He's alive? Vivian nodded. Very much so, and the FBI is going to give him to me. Or you die. The car turned sharply. McKenna's head slammed against the window. Pain shot through her skull. Her vision blurred. She heard Vivienne on the phone. I have her. Tell Agent Williams to meet me at the old port, alone, or his daughter dies. Agent Williams, her father. He wasn't just a witness. He was FBI, and he'd been alive this entire time, watching her from the shadows, letting her believe he was dead. McKenna's chest filled with rage. Vivian hung up and looked at her. "Don't worry, this will all be over soon." McKenna's voice was cold. "You're right. It will be." And for the first time since this nightmare started, McKenna knew exactly what she had to do. She had to end it herself. The car stopped at an abandoned port on the edge of Atlanta. Rusted shipping containers, broken cranes, water lapping against rotting docks. Vivian pulled McKenna out of the car and shoved her forward. "Move," she ordered. McKenna stumbled but kept walking. Her mind raced. Her father was alive. FBI, been watching her for 10 years, and he never reached out, never told her the truth, just let her believe he was dead. Vivian led her to the center of the port, gun pressed against her back. "He'll be here," Vivian said. "He has to be." McKenna's voice was hollow. "What if he doesn't come?" Vivian smiled coldly. "Then I kill you and move on to the next plan." McKenna closed her eyes. She was so tired. Tired of being used. Tired of being a pawn. Tired of everyone lying to her. Footsteps echoed across the concrete. McKenna opened her eyes. A man walked toward them from the shadows. Older. Gray hair, weathered face, but the same eyes she remembered from childhood. Her father. Agent Marcus Williams. McKenna's breath caught. He stopped 20 feet away, hands raised. "Let her go, Vivian," he said. Vivian laughed. "Not until you give me what I want." Marcus's jaw tightened. "I don't have the files. The FBI seized everything." Vivian pressed the gun harder against McKenna's head. "Liar." Marcus's voice cracked. "I'm telling the truth. The files are gone. There's nothing left." Vivian's hand trembled. "Then what good are you?" Marcus looked at McKenna. His eyes filled with tears. "McKenna, I'm sorry. For everything." McKenna's voice was ice. "You let me think you were dead." Marcus nodded. "I had to. To protect you." McKenna's laugh was bitter. "Protect me? I've been running for my life because of you." Marcus stepped closer. "I know, and I'll spend the rest of my life trying to make it right." Vivian cut in. "Touching. But I didn't bring you here for a reunion." She pulled a small recorder from her pocket. "I want you to hear something first." She pressed play. Marcus's voice filled the air. Younger, desperate. "This is Agent Marcus Williams. Date October 12th, 10 years ago. I'm recording this in case something happens to me." McKenna's chest tightened. The recording continued. "Richard Stone found out I was investigating him. He knows about McKenna, knows she's his daughter, and he's planning to eliminate her." McKenna's knees weakened. Marcus's recorded voice shook. The crash tonight wasn't about the Stone brothers. It was about her. Richard hired someone to make it look like an accident. To kill McKenna and her mother. To erase the evidence of his affair. Tears streamed down McKenna's face. "But I couldn't let that happen. So I made a deal with Elias Stone. Told him if he saved McKenna, I'd give him everything on Richard." McKenna's stomach twisted. Elias agreed. "But only if I disappeared. If I let Richard think I was dead. So that's what I did. I left my family. My daughter. Everything." Marcus's voice broke on the recording. "McKenna, if you're hearing this, it means I failed. It means they found you, and I'm so sorry." The recording ended. Silence. McKenna stared at her father. "You made a deal with Elias?" she whispered. Marcus nodded. "To save you." McKenna's voice rose. "You let me grow up without a father. You let Mama struggle. You let us believe you were dead." Marcus's tears fell freely. "I had no choice," McKenna screamed. "There's always a choice." Vivian lowered the gun slightly. "This is better than I imagined." She looked at Marcus. "So you sacrificed your family to take down Richard Stone. And now look where we are. Richard's dead. Elias is hunting us and your daughter hates you." Marcus's voice was broken. "I did what I thought was right." Vivian laughed. You did what was easy. She raised the gun again. And now you're going to pay for it. Before she could pull the trigger, headlights flooded the port. Multiple vehicles, FBI, local police, SWAT. Vivian cursed. Marcus had brought backup. Vivian grabbed McKenna and pulled her toward the edge of the dock. "Don't move," a voice shouted through a megaphone. Vivian ignored it. She dragged McKenna to the water's edge. Below, dark waves crashed against the pilings. "Let her go," Marcus yelled. Vivian's voice was calm. "I don't think so." She looked at McKenna. "You want to know the real reason your father made that deal?" McKenna's voice shook. "What?" Vivian smiled. "Because he's not your real father either." McKenna's blood ran cold. Vivian continued. "Richard Stone is your biological father, but Marcus Williams? He's nothing to you." McKenna looked at Marcus. He didn't deny it. "No," McKenna whispered. Vivian nodded. "Your mother was already pregnant when she met Marcus. He married her to protect her. Raised you as his own, but you were never really his." McKenna felt her world shatter completely. Marcus stepped forward. "McKenna, it doesn't matter. I loved you like my own. I still do." McKenna's voice broke. "But I'm not yours." Marcus's tears fell. "You are. In every way that matters." Vivian's laugh was hollow. "How sweet. But it doesn't change anything." She pressed the gun to McKenna's temple one last time. "Everyone back, or she dies." The FBI agents didn't move. Marcus raised his hands. "Vivian, please, take me instead." Vivian shook her head. "You're not valuable anymore." "But her?" She looked at McKenna. "She's Richard Stone's only living heir. She's worth millions. Maybe billions." McKenna's eyes widened. "What?" Vivian smiled. "Didn't you know? Richard left everything to his children in his will. Archer, Luca, and you." McKenna felt numb. "That's why everyone wants you," Vivian said. "Not because you're a witness, not because you're leverage, because you're rich." McKenna's voice was barely audible. "I don't want his money." Vivian's grip tightened. "Too bad. Because I do." Suddenly, a gunshot rang out. Vivian screamed and stumbled. Blood bloomed on her shoulder. She lost her grip on McKenna. McKenna dove forward, away from the edge. FBI agents rushed in. Vivian fell to her knees, clutching her wound. McKenna looked back. Archer and Luca stood on top of a shipping container, rifles in hand. They'd followed her. They'd saved her. Again. Vivian was dragged away by agents, screaming threats. Marcus ran to McKenna and pulled her into his arms. "I'm sorry," he sobbed. "I'm so sorry." McKenna didn't hug him back. She just stood there, numb, empty. Everything she thought she knew was a lie. Her father wasn't her father. Her life wasn't her life. Even her name wasn't really hers. Archer and Luca climbed down and walked over. "You okay?" Archer asked. McKenna looked at them. Her brothers, her half-brothers. "No," she whispered. "I'm not okay." Luca reached for her hand, but she pulled away. "I need to be alone." She walked toward the water's edge and stared out at the dark waves. Behind her, voices argued. Agents questioned Marcus. Vivian was loaded into an ambulance, but McKenna didn't care. She reached into her pocket and pulled out the key. The key to the safe deposit box. The key to the truth. She held it over the water, then dropped it. It disappeared into the darkness. Let them all fight over Richard Stone's empire. She wanted no part of it. Footsteps approached. McKenna turned. Elias Stone stood there, bloodied and beaten, but still standing. "Impressive," he said, letting go of billions. McKenna's voice was cold. "I don't want his blood money." Elias smiled. "That's noble. But it doesn't change who you are." McKenna glared. "And who am I?" Elias stepped closer. "A stone, whether you like it or not." He pulled out a gun. And that makes you my problem." Before McKenna could move, Elias raised the weapon, aimed at her heart, and pulled the trigger. The gunshot echoed across the port. McKenna waited for the pain, but it never came. She opened her eyes. Marcus stood in front of her, blood spreading across his chest. He'd taken the bullet. "No!" McKenna screamed. Marcus collapsed into her arms. Archer and Luca opened fire on Elias. FBI agents swarmed in. Chaos erupted again. McKenna pressed her hands against Marcus's wound. "Stay with me, please." Marcus's eyes fluttered. "I'm sorry. For everything." Tears streamed down McKenna's face. "Don't talk. Save your strength." Marcus smiled weakly. "You were always my daughter. Always." His hand went limp. His eyes closed. McKenna sobbed. "No, no, no." Paramedics rushed over and pulled her away. They worked on Marcus frantically. McKenna watched, numb, as they loaded him into an ambulance. Archer appeared beside her. "McKenna..." She pushed him away. "Don't." Luca tried to reach for her. "We need to get you out of here." McKenna's voice was hollow. "Why? So more people can die because of me?" Archer's face softened. "This isn't your fault." McKenna laughed bitterly. "Isn't it? Everyone around me dies. My father, Marcus. How long before it's you two?" Luca shook his head. "We're not going anywhere." McKenna looked at them both. These men who saved her over and over, who risked everything for her, and she was going to get them killed. An FBI agent approached. "We need to take you into protective custody." McKenna nodded. "Okay." Archer grabbed her arm. "Wait, we're coming with you." The agent shook his head. "No civilians. She goes alone." Luca stepped forward. "Then we're not letting her go." The agent's hand moved to his weapon. "Sir, step back." Before the situation could escalate, another voice cut through. "She's not going anywhere." Everyone turned. Elias stood 20 feet away, surrounded by his own men. Blood dripped from a wound in his side, but he was still standing, still fighting. The FBI agents raised their weapons. Elias raised his. "One more step and everyone dies." The lead agent spoke into his radio. "We need backup, now." Elias smiled. "Backup won't arrive in time." He looked at McKenna. "Come with me, willingly, or I start shooting." McKenna's chest tightened. "Why do you want me?" Elias's voice was cold. "Because you're the only leverage I have left. The FBI wants me. Vivian wants revenge. But if I have Richard Stone's daughter, I can negotiate my way out." Archer stepped in front of McKenna. "She's not going anywhere with you." Elias cocked his gun. "Then you die first." McKenna's heart pounded. She looked at Archer, then Luca. They were ready to die for her, without hesitation, and she couldn't let that happen. "Wait," McKenna said. Everyone froze. McKenna stepped around Archer. "I'll go with you." Archer's eyes widened. "McKenna, no." Luca grabbed her arm. "Don't do this." McKenna pulled away. "It's the only way." She looked at Elias. "But you have to promise. Let them go. Let everyone go. And I'll come willingly." Elias studied her for a long moment. Then he nodded. "Deal." Archer moved to stop her. "McKenna, please." McKenna turned to him, her eyes filled with tears. "I can't watch you die," she whispered. "Not for me." Archer's voice broke. "We can fight this together." McKenna shook her head. "No. You've done enough. Both of you." She looked at Luca. "Thank you. For everything." Luca's jaw clenched. "This isn't over." McKenna smiled sadly. "Yes, it is." She walked toward Elias. Each step felt like she was leaving a piece of herself behind. Archer shouted, "McKenna, stop!" But she didn't. She reached Elias and he grabbed her arm. "Smart choice," he said. He dragged her toward a waiting car. McKenna looked back one last time. Archer and Luca stood there, surrounded by FBI agents watching her leave. Archer's face was twisted with pain. Luca's eyes filled with something that looked like rage and grief combined. McKenna mouthed, "I'm sorry." Then Elias shoved her into the car and climbed in beside her. The driver sped away. McKenna stared out the window as the port disappeared behind them. Would you sacrifice your happiness to save someone else's life? Comment yes or no. Elias leaned back and sighed. You made the right choice. McKenna's voice was cold. Where are you taking me? Elias smiled. Somewhere the FBI can't find us. Somewhere we can negotiate properly. McKenna turned to him. What do you want from me? Elias's smile faded. I want Richard Stone's empire, and you're going to give it to me. McKenna shook her head. I don't have anything. Elias pulled out a document and handed it to her. McKenna's hands trembled as she read. It was a will, Richard Stone's will, and it named her as the primary heir. Everything. The companies, the properties, the offshore accounts. All of it belonged to her. McKenna's voice shook. I don't want this. Elias's voice was hard. Doesn't matter. It's yours, and you're going to sign it over to me. McKenna looked up. And if I refuse? Elias's eyes darkened. Then I go back and kill the brothers. One by one. Starting with Luca. McKenna's chest tightened. She was trapped. Again. The car drove for hours. Finally, they pulled up to a private airstrip. A jet waited on the tarmac. Elias dragged her out of the car. We're leaving the country. McKenna struggled. Where? Elias smiled. Somewhere without extradition. He pulled her toward the jet. McKenna's mind raced. She had to escape, had to warn Archer and Luca, had to stop this. But how? They reached the stairs to the jet. Elias pushed her forward. McKenna climbed slowly. Her heart pounded. This was it. Once she got on that plane, it was over. She reached the top step. Elias was right behind her. McKenna took a deep breath. Then she spun around and shoved him. Elias stumbled backward down the stairs. McKenna ran. Guards shouted. Gunshots rang out. McKenna ducked and kept running. She reached the edge of the tarmac and dove into the darkness. Footsteps pounded behind her. She ran faster. Her lungs burned. Her legs screamed, but she didn't stop. Couldn't stop. She reached a fence and climbed. Her hands bled. Her body shook, but she made it over. She dropped to the other side and kept running. Headlights appeared ahead. A car. Coming fast. McKenna froze. The car screeched to a stop. The door opened. Archer stepped out. McKenna's knees buckled. How did you find me? She gasped. Archer ran to her and pulled her in two. His arms. We put a tracker in your jacket. We were never going to let you go. Luca appeared from the driver's seat. Get in. Now. McKenna climbed into the car. Archer and Luca followed. They sped away just as Elias's men reached the fence. McKenna collapsed against the seat, gasping for air. Archer looked at her. Are you okay? McKenna shook her head. No, but I will be. Luca glanced in the rearview mirror. They're following us. Archer cursed. How many? Luca's voice was grim. Too many. Headlights appeared behind them, multiple vehicles, gaining fast. Luca floored the gas pedal. The car roared forward, but the vehicles behind them were faster. Bullets shattered the back window. McKenna screamed. Archer pulled her down. Stay low. Luca swerved off the highway and onto a dirt road. Trees blurred past. The car bounced violently. More gunshots. The tire exploded. The car spun out of control. McKenna felt herself thrown against the door. The car flipped. Once. Twice. Then stopped. Upside down. Silence. McKenna's ears rang. Blood dripped from her forehead. She tried to move. Archer? She whispered. No answer. Luca? Nothing. Footsteps approached. The door was yanked open. Elias's face appeared. He smiled. Nice try. He grabbed McKenna and pulled her out. She fought, but her body was too weak. Elias dragged her toward his car, then stopped. A gunshot echoed. Elias stumbled. Blood appeared on his chest. He turned slowly. A figure stood in the shadows. Gun raised. The figure stepped into the light. Vivian. Alive. And furious. She fired again. Elias fell. Vivian walked over and looked down at him. Then she looked at McKenna. "Run," she said. McKenna didn't move. Vivian's voice was urgent. "I said run!" McKenna stumbled away. Behind her, Vivian's voice called out, "This isn't over, McKenna. It's just beginning." McKenna ran into the darkness, not knowing where she was going, not knowing who to trust, just knowing she had to survive. McKenna ran until her legs gave out. She collapsed against a tree, gasping, bleeding, broken. Behind her, gunfire still echoed. Vivian's voice shouting orders. Men screaming. Chaos. Always chaos. McKenna pressed her hands against her face and sobbed. She couldn't do this anymore. Couldn't run anymore. Couldn't watch people die for her anymore. Footsteps crunched through the leaves. McKenna looked up, ready to fight or surrender. She didn't know which. Archer appeared through the trees, blood on his face, limping, but alive. "McKenna," he breathed. Behind him, Luca stumbled forward, holding his ribs. Both of them alive. Both of them here. McKenna stood slowly. "You should have left me." Archer shook his head. "Never." Luca reached her first. "Are you hurt?" McKenna looked down at herself. Cuts. Bruises. Blood. "I don't know," she whispered. Archer pulled her into his arms. "It's over. Elias is dead. Vivian is handling the rest." McKenna pulled away. "It's not over. It'll never be over." Luca frowned. "What do you mean?" McKenna's voice broke. "Don't you see? As long as I'm alive, people will keep coming, keep fighting, keep dying." Archer grabbed her shoulders. "Then we fight back. Together." McKenna shook her head. "No, I can't let you do that anymore." Luca stepped closer. "McKenna." McKenna backed away. "I need to leave. Disappear. Start over somewhere they can't find me." Archer's face twisted with pain. "You can't just leave." McKenna's tears fell freely. "Yes, I can. It's the only way to keep you safe." Luca's voice was desperate. "We don't need to be safe. We need you." McKenna looked at them both. These men who'd become everything to her. Brothers, protectors. Something more she couldn't name. "I'm sorry," she whispered. She turned and walked away. Archer followed. "McKenna, stop." She kept walking. Luca grabbed her arm. "Please, don't do this." McKenna pulled free. "I have to." They walked behind her in silence, through the trees, back to the road. A car waited there. FBI. Arranged by Vivian before the shooting started. An agent stepped out. "McKenna Williams?" McKenna nodded. The agent opened the door. "We're taking you into witness protection. New identity, new life." McKenna's chest tightened. New life. No family, no past, no Archer, no Luca. Just emptiness. Archer stepped forward. "Give us a minute." The agent nodded and walked away. Archer turned to McKenna. His eyes were red. "You don't have to do this." McKenna's voice shook. "Yes, I do." Luca's hands clenched into fists. "We can protect you. We have resources, money, power." McKenna smiled sadly. "And that's exactly why I have to go. Because you'll never stop fighting for me, and eventually it'll get you killed." Archer's voice broke. "So you're just going to walk away? Pretend we don't exist?" McKenna looked at him. "I'm walking away so you can live." Luca stepped closer. "What if we don't want to live without you?" McKenna felt her heart shatter. She reached up and touched his face. "Then learn." She turned to Archer and did the same. "Both of you." Archer grabbed her hand. "McKenna, please. We can figure this out." McKenna pulled away. "There's nothing to figure out. This is how it has to be." She walked toward the car. Each step felt like she was tearing herself apart. Luca's voice called out, "What if we come find you?" McKenna stopped but didn't turn around. "Don't." Archer's voice was raw. "You can't ask us to just forget you." McKenna's voice cracked. "I'm not asking. I'm begging." She climbed into the car. The agent got in the driver's seat. Through the window, McKenna looked at the brothers one last time. Archer stood frozen, fists clenched, face twisted with pain. Luca had his hands in his hair, eyes closed, breathing hard. Both of them breaking. Because of her. The car started moving. McKenna watched them get smaller in the rearview mirror. Archer dropped to his knees. Luca turned away, shoulders shaking. McKenna pressed her hand against the window. "I'm sorry," she whispered. The car turned a corner. They disappeared, and McKenna felt herself disappear too. The agent drove for hours. Neither of them spoke. Finally, they reached a small airport. A private plane waited. "Where are we going?" McKenna asked. The agent handed her a folder. "Your new identity. Study it." McKenna opened the folder. Sarah Mitchell, age 27. Teacher. No family. No history. A blank slate. A ghost. McKenna closed the folder. "How long do I have to stay hidden?" The agent's voice was flat. "Until the threat is neutralized." McKenna laughed bitterly. "The threat is my bloodline. That'll never be neutralized." The agent didn't respond. They boarded the plane. McKenna sat by the window and stared out at the dark sky. Somewhere out there, Archer and Luca were trying to move on, trying to forget her, and she was trying to forget them. But how do you forget the people who saved your life? The people who saw you at your worst and stayed anyway? The people who felt like home? Tears streamed down McKenna's face. The plane took off. Below, the city lights faded. Everything she knew disappeared into darkness, and for the first time in her life, McKenna felt truly alone. The plane landed in a small town she didn't recognize. Mountains, trees, quiet. A safe house waited, small, isolated, perfect for hiding. The agent handed her keys. "Someone will check on you weekly. Don't leave town. Don't contact anyone from your past. Don't use your real name." McKenna nodded numbly. The agent left. McKenna stepped inside the house. Empty rooms, cold walls, silence. She walked to the bedroom and sat on the bed, pulled out her phone. One last time. No messages from Archer, no messages from Luca. She'd told them not to contact her, and they'd listened. McKenna deleted every contact, every photo, every memory. Then she turned off the phone and threw it in a drawer. Sarah Mitchell didn't need a phone. Sarah Mitchell didn't need anyone. McKenna lay back on the bed and stared at the ceiling. She'd sacrificed everything to keep them safe. Her family, her identity, her heart. And now, she had nothing. A knock at the door startled her. McKenna froze. No one should know she was here. The knock came again, louder. McKenna grabbed a knife from the kitchen and walked to the door. "Who is it?" she called out. Silence, then a voice. Familiar, impossible. "It's me." McKenna's breath caught. She opened the door, and standing there, bruised and bloodied but very much alive, was her mother. McKenna's voice shook. "Mama?" Her mother smiled through tears. "Hi, baby." McKenna pulled her inside. "How did you find me?" Her mother's smile faded. "I didn't." McKenna frowned. "Then how are you here?" Her mother's eyes filled with fear. "Because they brought me." McKenna's blood ran cold. "Who?" Before her mother could answer, footsteps echoed from outside. Multiple people, surrounding the house. McKenna's heart pounded. The door burst open. Men in black poured inside. McKenna raised the knife, but someone grabbed her from behind. She struggled. A cloth pressed over her mouth. Chemical smell. Her vision blurred. The knife fell from her hand. Her mother screamed. Then everything went dark. When McKenna woke, she was in a chair, hands tied, head pounding. She blinked and looked around. A warehouse. Cold, dark, empty. Except for one person standing in front of her. A man. Tall, expensive suit, cold smile. He stepped into the light, and McKenna's world stopped, because the man standing in front of her was supposed to be dead. Richard Stone, her father, alive. McKenna stared at the man in front of her. Richard Stone. Dead. Except he wasn't. Surprised? He asked, voice smooth as expensive whiskey. McKenna's voice shook. You're supposed to be dead, Richard smiled. I've heard that before. He walked closer. Faking your own death is easier than you think, especially when you have money and people who owe you favors. McKenna struggled against the ropes. Why? Why fake your death? Richard sat across from her. Because everyone wanted me dead. The FBI. Elias? My enemies. Even my own sons. His eyes darkened. So I gave them what they wanted. A funeral. A grave. Peace. McKenna's chest tightened. And then what? You just watched from the shadows? Richard nodded. I watched everything. The crash. The investigation. You growing up. My sons taking over. He leaned forward. And I waited. McKenna's voice was cold. For what? Richard's smile widened. For you to be ready. McKenna frowned. Ready for what? Richard stood and walked to a door. Come, I'll show you. He nodded to one of his men. They untied McKenna and pulled her to her feet. Her legs wobbled, but she forced herself to stand. Richard led her through the warehouse to a back room. He opened the door. McKenna stepped inside and froze. The walls were covered. Photos, documents, maps, timelines, her entire life. Baby photos, school records, hospital visits, bank statements, everything. Richard watched her face. I've been watching you since the day you were born. McKenna felt sick. Why? Richard walked to the wall and touched a photo of her at age 5. Because you're special, McKenna. You're the key to everything. McKenna backed away. Key to what? Richard turned. To finishing what I started. He pointed to a map of the United States. Red pins marked different cities. I built an empire, Richard said. Banks, businesses, political connections. But I made enemies, powerful ones. He walked to another section of the wall. Photos of men in suits, government officials, crime bosses. And they destroyed me, took everything, forced me into hiding. McKenna's voice shook. So what do you want from me? Richard's eyes locked on hers. I want you to take it all back. McKenna shook her head. I'm not a criminal. Richard laughed. You don't have to be. You're my daughter, my heir. Everything I built legally belongs to you now. He pulled out a folder and handed it to her. McKenna opened it with trembling hands. Inside were legal documents, trusts, accounts, properties, all in her name, billions of dollars. McKenna's breath caught. I don't want this. Richard's voice hardened. It's not about what you want. It's about what you are. McKenna threw the folder on the floor. I'm not you. Richard's smile faded. Yes, you are. You have my blood, my intelligence, my strength. He stepped closer. And whether you admit it or not, you have my ambition. McKenna's hands shook. No. Richard grabbed her chin. You saved my sons from that fire, not because you were kind, but because you saw an opportunity. McKenna yanked away. That's not true. Richard's eyes gleamed. Isn't it? You could have run, could have saved yourself, but you went back. Why? McKenna's voice cracked. Because they needed help. Richard shook his head. Because you knew saving them would change your life. And it did. McKenna felt tears burn her eyes. Sometimes the people who love you trap you the most. Share if you've felt this, Cage. Richard walked to another section of the wall. Photos of Archer and Luca. My sons, he said softly. I loved them. In my own way. McKenna's voice was bitter. By trying to kill them? Richard turned. I never tried to kill them. I tried to kill you. McKenna's blood ran cold. Richard continued. When I found out about you, I panicked. An illegitimate daughter? Proof of my affair? It would have destroyed everything. He walked closer. So, I arranged the crash. Made it look like an accident. Your mother's car, you in the back seat. Makina's knees weakened. But Luca and Archer, Richard nodded. Were collateral damage. I didn't know they'd be on that road that night. Makina felt her world collapse. So you tried to kill me, and accidentally almost killed your own sons. Richard's jaw clenched. Yes. Makina's voice shook. And when I saved them? Richard smiled sadly. I realized you were more valuable alive than dead. Makina staggered back. You're a monster. Richard's eyes softened. I'm a survivor. Just like you. Makina shook her head. I'm nothing like you. Richard walked to a final photo on the wall. Makina, recent, walking out of the FBI safe house. You ran from witness protection, Richard said. Why? Makina didn't answer. Richard smiled. Because you couldn't stand being trapped. Being controlled, you wanted freedom. He turned to her. That's me, Makina. That's who you are. Makina's chest tightened. Richard walked to a desk and pulled out another folder. This contains everything you need. Contacts, passwords, instructions. He held it out. Take it. Finish what I started. Reclaim the empire. Makina stared at the folder. Everything she never wanted. Everything she was terrified of becoming. And if I refuse? She whispered. Richard's smile disappeared. Then your mother dies. Makina's heart stopped. Richard nodded to the door. It opened. Makina's mother was dragged in, beaten, crying. Makina, she sobbed. I'm sorry. Makina lunged forward, but guards grabbed her. Richard's voice was cold. You have a choice. Take the empire, or watch her die. Makina's tears fell. Please, don't do this. Richard walked to her mother and pressed a gun to her head. Decide. Now. Makina's mind raced. She looked at her mother, bruised, terrified, helpless. Then at the folder, the empire, the trap. She closed her eyes. I'll do it, she whispered. Richard lowered the gun. Smart girl. He handed her the folder. Makina took it with shaking hands. Her mother sobbed with relief. Richard smiled. Welcome to the family business. He walked to the door. We leave for Miami tomorrow. You'll meet the board, sign the papers, take your place. Makina's voice was hollow. And then? Richard paused. Then you do whatever you want. You'll have more power than you ever imagined. He left. The guards released Makina. She ran to her mother and held her. I'm sorry, her mother whispered. I'm so sorry. Makina stroked her hair. It's okay, Mama. It's okay. But it wasn't okay. Nothing was okay. Makina looked at the folder in her hand. Her father's empire. Her prison. She opened it slowly. Inside were files on every business Richard owned. And at the bottom, a note, in Richard's handwriting. The empire is yours, but so are its enemies. Trust no one, not even your brothers. Makina's stomach twisted. She flipped to the next page. A list of names. People Richard had destroyed, betrayed, killed, and at the top of the list, circled in red, Archer Stone. Luca Stone. Makina's breath caught. Why were their names circled? She turned the page. Another note. Your brothers will try to stop you. When they do, you must eliminate them, or they will eliminate you. Makina's hands shook violently. Richard wanted her to kill Archer and Luca, her brothers, the men who saved her life, the men she couldn't finish the thought. Her mother touched her arm. What is it? Makina closed the folder. Nothing. But it was everything. Richard wasn't just trapping her in his empire, he was turning her into him. And the first test was killing the only people she'd ever loved. A guard appeared at the door. The plane leaves in an hour. Get ready. Makina stood slowly. Her mother grabbed her hand. What are you going to do? Makina looked at her. Then at the folder. Then at the door. I don't know, she whispered. But deep down she did know. She had to warn Archer and Luca, had to tell them Richard was alive, had to stop this before it was too late. The question was, how? And would they even believe her after she walked away? The plane landed in Miami at dawn. Richard's men escorted Makina and her mother to a penthouse overlooking the ocean. Beautiful, expensive, a cage with a view. Richard was waiting. "Welcome home," he said. Makina didn't respond. Richard handed her a phone. "Call them." Makina frowned. "Who?" Richard smiled. "Your brothers." Makina stared at the phone in Richard's hand. "No," she said. Richard's smile didn't falter. "You don't have a choice." Makina backed away. "I'm not calling them." Richard sighed and nodded to one of his men. The guard grabbed Makina's mother and pressed a gun to her head. Makina's mother screamed. "Stop!" Makina shouted. Richard held out the phone again. "Call them. Tell them you're safe. Tell them to come to Miami." Makina's hand shook as she took the phone. "Why? What are you planning?" Richard's eyes were cold. "I'm planning to end this. Once and for all." Makina's voice broke. "You're going to kill them," Richard shrugged. "Only if they refuse to cooperate." Makina looked at her mother. Tears streamed down her face. She had no choice. She dialed Archer's number. It rang once, twice, then his voice. "Makina." Her chest tightened. "Archer." His relief was immediate. "Oh my God, where are you? Are you okay?" Makina's voice shook. "I'm fine. I'm in Miami." Silence. Then Luca's voice in the background. "Miami? Why?" Makina closed her eyes. "I need you to come here. Both of you." Archer's voice turned cautious. "Makina, what's going on?" Richard leaned closer, listening. Makina swallowed hard. "Just come. Please, I'll explain everything when you get here." Archer hesitated. "Are you in danger?" Makina looked at Richard, at her mother, at the gun. "No," she lied. "I'm safe." Luca's voice came through. "Give us the address." Richard handed her a card with the penthouse address. Makina read it out. "We'll be there in 3 hours," Archer said. "Don't move." The line went dead. Makina handed the phone back to Richard. He smiled. "Good girl." The guard released her mother. Makina ran to her and held her tight. Richard walked to the window. "They'll come. And when they do, we'll see where their loyalties truly lie." Makina's voice was bitter. "They'll never work with you." Richard turned. "They will, if it means saving you." Makina shook her head. "You don't know them." Richard's smile was sad. "I know them better than you think. I raised them." He walked to a desk and pulled out another file. He tossed it to Makina. She caught it and opened it slowly. Inside were documents, financial records, emails, photos, all showing Archer and Luca, but not as victims. As partners. In Richard's empire, Makina's breath caught. "What is this?" Richard's voice was calm. "The truth. My sons weren't innocent bystanders. They knew what I was doing. They helped." Makina flipped through the pages. Bank transfers, signed agreements, business deals, all with Archer and Luca's signatures. "No," Makina whispered. "They wouldn't." Richard walked closer. "They would. And they did. Until they decided to betray me." Makina looked up. "Betray you how?" Richard's jaw clenched. "They tried to take the empire for themselves, worked with the FBI, tried to have me arrested." Makina's mind raced. "So, the crash," Richard nodded, "was them. They sabotaged my car, tried to kill me." Makina shook her head. "That's not possible. They were in the car." Richard's smile was cold. "Were they? Or did they stage it to look that way?" Makina's stomach twisted. Richard continued. "They wanted me dead, wanted you out of the picture, so they could control everything." Makina's voice shook. "You're lying." Richard pulled out his phone and showed her a video. Security footage. From the night of the crash, McKenna watched as a younger Archer and Luca stood beside a car, their father's car. Luca opened the hood. Archer handed him tools. They worked quickly, then closed the hood and walked away. 10 minutes later, Richard got in the car and drove off. The video ended. McKenna felt sick. This doesn't prove anything. Richard's voice was hard. It proves they tried to kill me, and they used you as cover. McKenna threw the file on the floor. I don't believe you. Richard sighed. You don't have to. You'll see the truth soon enough. He walked to the door. When they arrive, you'll have a choice. Side with them, or side with me. McKenna's voice was cold. I'll never side with you. Richard paused. Then you'll watch them die. He left, the door locked behind him. McKenna collapsed on the couch, head in her hands. Her mother sat beside her. Do you believe him? McKenna's voice broke. I don't know what to believe anymore. Her mother touched her face. Those boys love you. I've seen it. Whatever Richard says, don't forget that. McKenna nodded weakly, but doubt crept in. What if Richard was telling the truth? What if Archer and Luca had been lying this whole time? 3 hours later, a knock came at the door. McKenna's heart stopped. A guard opened it. Archer and Luca walked in, bruised, exhausted. But here, McKenna stood slowly. Archer's eyes found hers immediately. McKenna. He crossed the room and pulled her into his arms. McKenna felt herself break. She sobbed into his chest. Luca joined them, wrapping his arms around both of them. It's okay, Archer whispered. We're here. McKenna pulled back. You shouldn't have come. Luca frowned. Why not? Before McKenna could answer, Richard walked in. Archer and Luca froze. Their faces went white. Hello, boys, Richard said with a smile. Archer's voice was barely a whisper. You're dead. Richard laughed. I've heard that before. Luca's hand moved to his gun. Richard's men raised their weapons instantly. I wouldn't, Richard warned. Luca's hand stopped. Richard walked closer. Surprised to see me? Archer's jaw clenched. What do you want? Richard looked at McKenna. I want what's mine, and she's going to help me get it. Archer stepped in front of McKenna. Leave her out of this. Richard's smile faded. She's already in it. She's been in it since the day she was born. Luca's voice was hard. We won't let you use her. Richard pulled out the file and tossed it to them. Archer caught it and opened it. His face went pale. Luca read over his shoulder, then looked at McKenna with something that looked like guilt. It's not what it looks like, Archer said. McKenna's voice shook. Then what is it? Luca stepped forward. We did work with him, but only to gather evidence, to bring him down. Archer nodded. Everything we did was to protect you. Richard laughed. They're lying, McKenna. They wanted the Empire, just like I did. McKenna looked between them. Who do I believe? Archer reached for her. Believe us. Please. Richard pulled out his phone and showed another video. This one showed Archer and Luca in a meeting, with FBI agents, planning Richard's arrest, but also discussing how to split his assets. McKenna's heart sank. Archer's face crumbled. McKenna, that's out of context, Richard interrupted. Is it? Or were you planning to take everything once I was gone? Luca's voice was desperate. We were protecting the Empire, not stealing it. Richard smiled. Same thing. McKenna backed away from all of them. I can't do this. Archer stepped forward. McKenna, please. The window shattered. Gunfire erupted. McKenna screamed. Archer tackled her to the ground. Luca returned fire. Richard's men scattered. Smoke filled the room. Voices shouted from outside. FBI, drop your weapons. The door burst open. Agents flooded in. Richard cursed and ran for the balcony. Archer pulled McKenna to her feet. "We need to go." They ran through the chaos. Bullets, screaming, smoke. They reached the stairwell and started down. Behind them, footsteps pounded. They burst out into the parking garage. A car waited. Luca jumped in the driver's seat. Archer shoved McKenna in the back. They peeled out just as agents reached the garage. McKenna looked back. The penthouse was on fire. Richard was nowhere to be seen. And somewhere in that chaos, her mother was still inside. "Mama!" McKenna screamed. Archer grabbed her. "We'll get her back, I promise." But McKenna knew the truth. Richard had her mother, and he'd use her to make McKenna do whatever he wanted. The car raced through Miami streets. Luca's voice was grim. "Where do we go?" Archer's jaw clenched. "Somewhere he can't find us." McKenna's voice was hollow. "There's nowhere he can't find us." Because Richard Stone had been planning this for years. And they'd just walked straight into his trap. The car crashed through a warehouse gate. Luca slammed the brakes. They skidded to a stop inside an abandoned building. Silence. Then footsteps. Running. Archer grabbed McKenna's hand. "Move." They burst out of the car and ran deeper into the warehouse. Behind them, voices shouted. Richard's men. They'd been followed. Luca fired back, covering them. Archer pulled McKenna behind a stack of crates. "Stay down," he whispered. McKenna's heart pounded. "Where's my mother?" Archer's face was grim. "We'll get her back." Gunfire erupted. Bullets tore through metal, shattered glass. Luca dove behind cover beside them. "We're surrounded," he said. Archer cursed. "How many?" Luca looked around the crate. "Too many." A voice echoed through the warehouse, cold, familiar. "Give her up, boys, and I'll let you walk away." "Richard," Archer shouted back. "Never." Richard's laugh echoed. "Then you'll die with her." More gunfire. McKenna pressed herself against the crate, shaking. This was it. This was how it ended. Archer turned to her. His eyes were intense, desperate. "McKenna, listen to me. No matter what happens, I need you to know something." McKenna's voice broke. Don't say goodbye." Archer grabbed her face. "I love you. I've loved you since the moment I saw you, and I'll love you until the day I die." Tears streamed down McKenna's face. Luca touched her shoulder. "We both will." McKenna sobbed. "I can't lose you. Not now. Not like this." Archer kissed her forehead. "You won't." He stood and fired at Richard's men. Luca did the same. McKenna watched them fight. Two brothers, fighting for her, dying for her, and she couldn't let that happen. She stood. "McKenna, get down," Archer yelled, but she didn't listen. She walked out from behind the crates, into the open, hands raised. "Stop!" she shouted. The gunfire ceased. Richard stepped out from the shadows, gun raised. "Smart girl," he said. Archer ran to her. "What are you doing?" McKenna looked at him. "Saving you." She turned to Richard. "I'll go with you, willingly. Just let them go." Richard smiled. "No." McKenna's voice shook. "You said..." Richard cut her off. "I said I'd let them walk away if they gave you up. They didn't. So now, everyone dies." He raised his gun, aimed at Archer. McKenna screamed. "No!" A gunshot rang out, but it wasn't Richard who fired. Richard stumbled forward. Blood bloomed on his back. He turned slowly. Standing behind him, gun raised, was Vivian. Alive. Furious. "This ends now," she said. Richard fell to his knees. Vivian walked closer. "You destroyed my family. Destroyed me. And I'm going to make sure you never hurt anyone again." She aimed at his head. Richard smiled through the pain. "You think killing me ends this?" Vivian's finger tightened on the trigger. "Yes." Richard laughed. Blood spilled from his lips. "I'm not the only one who wants her." He looked at McKenna. "They're coming. All of them, and they won't stop until they have you. Vivian fired. Richard fell. Dead. Finally, dead. McKenna felt her knees give out. Archer caught her. Vivian lowered her gun and looked at them. We need to leave. Now. Luca stepped forward. Where's her mother? Vivian's face darkened. Richard moved her, I don't know where. McKenna's voice broke. No. Archer held her tighter. We'll find her. Suddenly, the warehouse doors burst open. Armed men poured in. But not Richard's men. FBI. Leading them was a man in a suit. Older, scarred. He walked straight to McKenna. McKenna Williams? He asked. McKenna nodded weakly. The man pulled out a badge. Agent Harris. I've been looking for you for a long time. McKenna frowned. Why? Agent Harris looked at Richard's body, then back at her. Because you're not just his daughter. You're the heir to the largest criminal empire in the country, and we need you to testify. McKenna shook her head. I don't know anything. Agent Harris pulled out a file. Yes, you do. Richard left you everything. Files, evidence, contacts, all the proof we need to take down his entire network. McKenna's stomach twisted. I don't want it. Agent Harris's voice was firm. It's not about what you want. It's about justice. Archer stepped forward. She's been through enough. Agent Harris looked at him. And you must be Archer Stone. We have questions for you too. Luca moved beside his brother. We're not saying anything without a lawyer. Agent Harris smiled. That's your right. But understand this. If you don't cooperate, you'll be charged as accomplices. Archer's jaw clenched. We didn't do anything. Agent Harris held up the file Richard had shown earlier. This says otherwise. McKenna's heart sank. This wasn't over. It was never going to be over. Agent Harris looked at her. You have two choices. Work with us. Help us take down the rest of Richard's empire, or go to prison with everyone else. McKenna's voice was hollow. And my mother? Agent Harris hesitated. We're looking for her. McKenna's anger flared. That's not good enough. Agent Harris's voice softened. I know, but it's all I have right now. McKenna turned away. Vivian stepped forward. I know where she is. Everyone turned. Vivian looked at McKenna. Richard had a backup location, a place he kept people he wanted to use as leverage. McKenna's voice shook. Where? Vivian pulled out her phone and showed a map. An island, off the coast, private, secure. Agent Harris reached for the phone. We'll send a team. Vivian pulled it away. Your team will get her killed. Richard had it rigged, explosives, traps. Only I know how to get in. Archer stepped forward. Then we go together. Agent Harris shook his head. This is an FBI operation. Luca's voice was hard. Then it'll fail. We know Richard better than anyone. Agent Harris looked between them. Finally, he nodded. Fine, but you follow my lead. They moved toward the exit, but before they reached it, an explosion rocked the warehouse. The walls shook. Fire erupted from the entrance. McKenna screamed. Archer pulled her down as debris rained from above. When the dust settled, the entrance was blocked. Flames everywhere. Agent Harris shouted into his radio. We need backup, now! Vivian cursed. Someone triggered the backup plan. Luca looked at her. What backup plan? Vivian's face went pale. Richard's failsafe. If he died, the entire network activates. Every asset, every contact, every enemy. McKenna's voice shook. What does that mean? Vivian looked at her with fear in her eyes. It means war. Another explosion. This one closer. The building groaned. Archer grabbed McKenna's hand. We need to move. They ran through the smoke and fire. The warehouse was collapsing around them. They burst through a side door just as the roof caved in. Outside, chaos. Cars burning. People running. Gunfire everywhere. Agent Harris shouted orders, but no one was listening. McKenna clung to Archer. Luca fired at men emerging from vehicles. Vivian dragged Agent Harris behind cover. McKenna looked around. This was Richard's final revenge. He couldn't have her, so he'd make sure no one could. Archer pulled her toward a car. "Get in." McKenna climbed in. Luca jumped in the driver's seat. Archer got in beside McKenna. They sped away as the warehouse exploded behind them. Flames reached into the sky. Smoke choked the air. McKenna looked back. Everything was burning. Everything was falling apart. Luca's voice was urgent. "Where do we go?" Archer looked at McKenna. "The island. We get her mother, then we end this." McKenna nodded. Together. Luca floored the gas. The car disappeared into the night. Behind them, Miami burned, and somewhere on an island, McKenna's mother waited. Alive, for now, but time was running out, for all of them. Some endings are just beginnings in disguise. If you need part 2, let us know below. Don't let this story die here.